Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Zamora two-player podcast. I am your player one, Garrett Zamora, and I am joined once again by my brother Matt. Matt, thanks for taking some time. We were just saying it's been a minute since we've been able to record. Both work insanity, plus you've been traveling. You were actually here. You were home last week, so we got to hang out a little bit and play some Tekken and have some of that time. But you were on a work trip, so it was very short, and we just didn't really have a chance to do any recording for the last couple weeks. So wanted to do one more before we get to the end of the year episode. I have two more people to chase down for something that we want to do. I'm just waiting to hear back from them. Some fun stuff planned for that last episode. And we wanted to do an episode before that because, I finished my last two 2023 games, just like last week or a week and a half ago. So I figured I wanted to have like a, quick impressions talk about those, since, they'll come up in our game of the year episode at the end.
You've had quite the to-do list that you've hacked away at.
Good Lord. I literally I nerded out so hard, and I'll bring some of this up on that final episode. But I nerded out looking at like how much money I roughly spent on games, and how many hours total on all the games, and it's excluding things like games I play just intermittently, like multiplayer games or like Final Fantasy 14, things like that, because like I can't parse just like the time spent this year. Like those are just cumulative, so I can't exactly pull numbers from those games. So there's little games in between, but as I just looked at the hours of games that I rolled credits on, so like games that I beat this year, that are kind of up for my game of the year sort of discussion. Looked at how many hours and stuff, so we'll have some fun little facts about that. I was kind of nerding out over
That's awesome.
looking at those numbers in funny ways and stuff. So
that's why I love like video games so much. Not why, but it's another reason that kind of realizing the amount of joy, like okay, I think it's two things. One, just the amount of hours you get out of $70 video game, like just like, man, when you think about that per hour, it's really nothing. And then like nothing at all. And then just the sheer joy I'll get from, like, it almost seems unfair when like with FF7 remake, it's just like that should legally be like several $1,000s. But
for
like
the amount of entertainment I'm going to get from that week, 2 weeks or whatever, that when it first comes out.
Because like, and it's not even just entertainment, it's just like raison d'etre, joy.
Entertainment isn't even like nearly strong enough a word. It's like it literally like completes my life.
So it's just like this thing is part of me. $70. And then heat bill this month. Like it's like, oh man, like
I guess I should pay that. Whatever. Like
but what about like the pure unadulterated joy that I get from this? Anyway, I just feel like I'm robbing someone. Like I feel like I'm stealing somehow. But
the ratio is off. The ratio of joy per dollar spent seems skewed in our favor for some of those games.
Exactly.
So we'll have some of that to talk about at the end. Game Awards was just last night, so got already filling up some of my list for next year beyond what we already knew about. One notable thing was there's a new Mana game, like Visions of Mana, I think it's called. And I really liked the remake they did in like 2020 of the SNES, like the second one on the SNES. And it looks like that, but with like way more budget. And because it's like it's a new entry, so that it's not you know, being remade from an old game or something. It's like brand new entry and like way higher budget. So that looks really cool. And there's a bunch of stuff that I wrote down that I'm gonna keep an eye on. It was funny because so the way did you watch now? We're not gonna do a reaction episode for it, but did you watch that FF7 trailer yet?
I did.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
told Matt last night, I was like, "Stay off Twitter, be careful," because we were both kind of like, I don't know if I want to like watch anymore. Like we were sort of we weren't sure yet, like how much we want to see of that game. And last night, so I was having like a little watch party with some friends of mine that we played 14 with, and we were just watching it in Discord together. And the way they introduced it at the Game Awards, and I don't know if it is actually the same trailer what you ended up seeing, but I'm sure it was at least
pretty similar. Yeah.
or at least like a snippet out of that trailer or something. But they're like, oh, because they have like musical performances and things like that at the Game Awards, and they were like, it's like, now I'd like to introduce like with our orchestra here, blah blah blah. It's like a new piece of music from legendary composer Nobuo Uematsu for a song, a theme song from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I was like, okay, I'm okay with music, like music spoiler, like that's fine, like like that doesn't spoil enough for me to not want to hear it. And it started playing it, and like the music, and it cut to a screen, and I saw like half a second of what I'm pretty sure was something in the gold saucer. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And I just like ran away. And I told my friends, I was like, I'll be back. And I just like ran. And then I didn't like turn off my headphones. Like I took them off, but I didn't like mute them. And I could just hear what like my friends like, like just like screaming at what they're seeing. Because like they're FF7 fans as well. And I'm just like, I was sitting there and I was like, yeah, it's probably good I'm not watching this if it's eliciting that reaction from them. And then they told me when I got back, like, if you're worried, if you want to like save stuff for the game, like it's good you didn't watch that. I was like, okay.
And it's funny, you and I have talked about this in a few different contexts, and I remember this from like movies perspective, and it's like you and I differ quite a bit on. You'll be like, I don't like to watch the final trailer before some Marvel movie comes out, or or whatever.
Sure.
And you're like, it kind of spoils things for me, and I'm always just like nope, trailers are fair game. Trailers are okay. Like and so but in games, there's a little bit of an extra added component to it, because the last kind of stuff that we were spoon-fed about Rebirth, there is so much like in-game like gameplay footage. And that I watched a bit of that. I was like, I don't want this.
Sure.
This is making me uncomfortable because I want to experience playing the game.
Yes.
So I think you've probably seen more gameplay than I have.
Probably, yeah.
Because there was like
that demo they did at TGS and stuff. I watched the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like some stuff in the open world a bit, and like so I've seen remarkably little of that. So I don't want to see any gameplay. I don't want to play a demo if it comes out or anything. But the trailer, I'm like, yep, that's fair game. I'm allowed to see the trailer.
And I'm not like, I wasn't really media blackout on Remake Part 1. I think the last trailer they released was like a week before the game came out. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna watch that one because like I'm gonna be playing this in 7 days. Like I don't. And it showed like a clip of like one of the final cutscenes of the game when you're about to fight Sephiroth or something. Because I looked at it after, obviously. I'm like, I'm glad I didn't see that before the game.
I remember talking to you about that because you were like, no, I'm not watching this. And then I was like, this is literally the opening of the game. Like it's
like they showed that too. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like the full opening,
that full CG movie,
back up into into the logo, and then a bunch of other kind of stuff. And I was like, this is a pretty big reveal here. I'm glad I'm getting the game in a week's time. But and I did play that demo.
Same.
Um, just because it was just like, I
Didn't
mean,
even know how it was gonna play, or yeah.
yeah.
I literally did it so like I'm gonna take the time with the demo to figure out my settings. And I'm gonna
Mm-hmm,
see how the
mm-hmm.
camera feels, see what options I have for controls. Like I literally
Yeah,
spent so much time just finding the right like control and like settings like configuration so that I
yeah,
don't have to spend time doing that or figuring like I'll take the time to set them to what I had.
yeah.
But just to not have to waste time because I knew I was just gonna want to dive in or
Dive
whatever.
right in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
So
we both said if there's a demo for Rebirth, we're not gonna play it.
I'm not
Uh
gonna play that. No,
yeah, that'll be too
I
much of a
think that
tease.
that'll ruin the experience. So, but the trailer, I will say nothing.
Yeah.
But it was.
I did see a render of Sid, so I know he
Oh,
was
okay.
in
So
the
you know that.
trailer.
Yeah.
And which I kind of figured, like, and I saw like the full render of Vincent, so I assume you saw his
Hmm.
face.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I saw the thumbnail of the trailer, which is a shot of something I didn't really want to see, but I know it's happening. It's
Yeah.
fine. I'm not gonna watch the actual trailer. Like I won't be able to avoid everything
Yeah. You
between
can't
now
stay
and
zero
February.
percent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was less about like media blackout with FF7 remake because I was like, well, I already know what happens. I just want to see how it looks now,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so I that's why I wasn't sure if I was gonna go blackout on this one because I'm like, well, I know the things that happen for the most part, but now after how much they're changing, and it's
It's
like, go ahead.
no. I was just gonna say exactly what you just said. Where all bets are kind of off now, so it is a
Yes,
little bit kind of
there are
different.
things
Yeah.
I won't want to see, and even the things that I know are going to happen, it's like I have so much trust in the project now that I don't need to be convinced
Yeah.
that they're gonna do it right. So it's
Yeah.
like any of those crazy moments, just big set pieces or musical numbers or whatever. It's like I just want to see
Yeah.
that for the first time when I'm playing,
Yeah.
just to like maximize that ratio that we were talking about.
Yeah. No, exactly. That joy completeness ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 because I look back and like we were obviously not sure if how if they were even going to do the honeybee in the first game. That
mm,
was a big question mark. Like, how are they going to do that in 2020 and make it tasteful? Like,
yeah,
it just
yeah,
seemed like a minefield of issues, right?
yeah,
And so I'm glad I saw in the trailer that they did it like clearly
mm,
they went all out with it, but
yeah.
I can only imagine how fucking mind blown I would have been if I saw what they did in that part of the game for the first time when I was
For-
playing.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that would have just like knocked me off of my couch. Like how happy I was.
Because
Um,
that was my experience seeing it in the trailer. I can't even
yeah,
imagine like the build
doing
up
it
to
and
that. Yeah,
exactly, yeah, yeah. So because it still had that reaction to see the whole thing and like the little dance mini game part wasn't really in the trailer, so like there
yeah,
was still a lot of that, but I think I'm just at a point where it's like, yeah, I don't need to be convinced of anything. I just yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
so that's why Matt watched it and I didn't. So
yeah,
we
yeah.
won't be doing a reaction video for that. I was hoping you didn't see about the FF16 DLC because I was going to tell you live while we're recording just to get your reaction. But we get the emails and stuff like we're subscribed to their like newsletters and everything, so we do see that stuff. I was just
And
hoping
like
maybe you'd be too busy at work and didn't see it.
and like man, there was like a 9 out of 10 chance that I wouldn't have seen it. It's like those Square Enix emails. I'm usually like flag it. I'll look at it later. I'm too
Sure.
busy. But it just like FF7 Rebirth right at the top, and I was like, okay, pause life for a second, look at this email, and then like FF16 is like, oh, is this some sort of like mobile game or something? And like, oh no, this is a DLC.
Yeah.
It's like, when's this coming out? Today.
Yeah, and I watched the DLC or the trailer for the DLC at the Game Awards, and two of my friends that I was watching with are the ones that we were like obsessively talking about 16 because they were
Oh,
playing it
nice.
right after I was. And we were all freaking out at it, and I didn't even see that it said available today. And we were just reeling still when it cut away from the trailer to
Mm,
Jeff Keighley talking, and he said it's out now, the first part,
mm,
and I didn't even hear that because we were still like freaking out. And then I
yeah.
went to like watch the trailer again, and I was like, because I was like, wait, I was pretty sure I saw spring 2024, so I was like,
Mm,
oh, maybe the first one is spring and the second one is like summer or
mm,
something.
mm.
And I looked at it, it was like, today. It's like, and it was like 12:30 last night. It's like, fuck, I have to go to bed though.
Yeah.
So then I like went into work early today so that I could get home early, and I've already beaten it.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I went right
Uh,
into Final Fantasy mode, or like whatever the hard mode is called,
yeah.
and did it that way. So yeah, it is awesome. And people who have played 14 will hear a lot of Easter eggs in the music,
Mm.
because the boss that's at the end of the DLC is also in 14, which it is also, it's like a Final Fantasy boss in general.
Oh, nice.
But the music of that boss from 14 definitely is in this DLC, because it's Soak and that composed both, obviously. But anyway,
Oh
yeah,
man.
that fight is
Uh,
wild. So it was super super fun.
that's my so okay, I'll get into this in a second, but like
Sure.
I was like, oh man, okay, quick pause on work, gonna go downstairs, start that download,
Yeah.
and then I came back up to my computer and being like, wow, I'm such an impressive Final Fantasy fan. I like, it just came out and I downloaded it. Little did I know you're like already home, like about to beat it.
Yeah. I couldn't
uh,
couldn't stop. Excuse me, couldn't
um,
stop myself.
the thing I was a little unclear on was like I just kind of like went to FF16 in kind of my row of games, and then like I don't even know where to start here. I check for update, and there was an update there, assuming just to, so you'd be able to link to it or
Yeah.
whatever. And like, I don't think that was the DLC. Like go to the PlayStation Store, da 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 da, and okay, yep, there it is. Go purchase, done. But then there was like something that was like a combo of the two, of the Leviathan thing
Yeah.
and this one. And it was like, oh, at a discounted price, get both of them or something. So I was like, oh crap. I immediately bought just this one.
Sure.
And then that other one was unavailable. So I was like, oh, well, fuck it. I'll just get
Yeah.
I'll get the
Because
other
I
one.
I
So
imagine it'll be like cheaper to buy that than buy them both separately, but the other one only comes out in like spring, so it's like not a big deal. It'll probably be like $4 that you save or something minute.
yeah, I was just like, look, I don't care. I would have saved
Yeah.
$4 or something, but I remember it was just funny. He was like, yep, buy. Wait, what's this? Oh crap! I was
Yeah.
so just like, yeah, okay. They might sell out, or I had some sort of weird Christmas rush mentality.
Yeah.
Um, but
So
uh,
that was pretty crazy though, that it was like story DLC for a mainline Final Fantasy game, first trailer, and it's out now. Like
yeah.
no build up. There's a second part.
Mhm.
Did you watch the trailer for them, or did you just you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Leviathan is
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
second one, which I feel like I remember them
Was
talking about him at some point
in the
and
story.
I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, like if they do DLC, because we didn't know at that point, like if they do a DLC, that would be an awesome thing to return to. So,
Because
um,
like whenever you'd see that like mural or whatever,
yeah,
Leviathan, I feel like was one of the
it's present at
icons.
least, yeah.
Yeah.
Which probably
So
means we might get Leviathan powers too, which would be sick to add more
mm,
to that arsenal. So,
mm.
anyway, yeah, super cool. Wasn't I was expecting a trailer for DLC at the Game Awards. Like I figured they'd at least show
Mm.
something about it, but I did not
Yeah,
expect it to just be out now.
drop. Yeah,
So at
yeah.
least half of it. So that's really cool. And then the second part of it comes out in between 7 Rebirth and like 14 expansion.
Oh, okay.
So just a
Man.
nice little you know uh appetizer of some more FF16 in between those two games.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Um
It's it's funny too. Like I'm glad that I watched the Rebirth trailer, like because like I don't know, for the past little bit, I've just been like, oh man, I don't feel super excited for Rebirth right now. And I
Sure.
think like because I loved 16 so much, and it was just like, oh man, like yeah, that's been my jam. Have I lost my FF7 roots? Like
No, it was just waiting to be
and then
reactivated.
and Ever Crisis had been kind of scratching an itch for a
Yeah.
little while, but I kind of fell off that wagon a little bit, like
Yeah, I'm
with
definitely not checking in every day anymore and stuff. It's a gotcha game, so it's like I'll play it when I
yeah,
have time to play it. It's on Steam now, so that does make it a little easier. If I'm sitting at my computer, I can literally just have it on my other screen while I'm playing another game. Even one thing
yeah,
that's nice about it on the PC release is so the limit breaks is like
mm,
Q is your like you know how you're like you have your party and the two on the side like on the side
yeah,
like
yeah.
whoever's on the top on the side is like Q on the keyboard is their limit break, W is the next one, and E is yours. And so if I'm
Okay,
just like auto battling and I'm doing something and I look over and I see all three of them
they're
lit
all
up,
Phil.
I'm just like Alt Tab QWE Alt Tab back
I,
to my other game and it just like goes and activates them.
that's
Uh,
pretty handy.
yeah, it's pretty
Uh,
cool.
but yeah, so with this travel, like I had been on the road for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and up until that, it was logging in every day or like battles while I'm like on a sales call, just like
Mhm.
tap tap tap, whatever. Like I was playing all day, every day, and then I just like fell off the wagon and logged in again, and it's I like a reward, like oh you're back, like
Yeah.
and I
Classic
was just
mobile
like
game.
yeah. And I was like, oh man, like I've kind of lost my passion in this too. And like, oh man, like I hope I get this back by the time Rebirth
Oh
comes
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Watch this
No
trailer. I was like,
worries.
watch this trailer. Like, fuck yeah, this game. Like, here we go. So I'm glad it was just I fell into the trap of lull to excitement, maximizing that distance. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Were you gonna do a replay of remake before it came out? Did you say you were going to, or no? I can't remember if you were
I
planning
don't
on
think
it.
I said I was going to. I think I maybe said
Okay.
I would like to. Um, yeah. So it's a good point because for the past like couple of days, sorry, we're just going all over the place here,
It's
but
fine.
uh, I've been kind of like because I after our last recording where I beat Ragnarok and
Yeah.
or sorry, Platinum did.
Yeah.
I've been kind of like, huh, what do I do? Like dinner's done, like oh man, like what do I do? It's always been like okay, crunch out some Ragnarok or whatever. We talked about this like oh maybe RE4 or
Yeah.
RE3, even haven't played that yet, but I was like I do have a bit of a backlog of games that I've downloaded but haven't played yet, and one of them was the Shadows Die Twice,
Yeah. I saw
the
you playing that one night.
yeah, but it's hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And I was just like, God damn it. Like kind of like what was that other one?
Neo.
Neo.
Yeah.
And just like die. I was like, oh, okay, I'll probably respawn like right there. And it's like, what? Whoa, no, all the way back here. And I was still like, fuck this. Like this is back this is going to the back burner as well. This is too hard for me. I need something um then so I played that a little bit, then went on the road for 2 weeks where the only video gaming we did was with some buddies where we played old school 64 like Mario
Right.
Tennis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then some
At
Tekken
our
with you.
at my place. Yeah.
And then so got back this week, and then like wow, what am I gonna do? And it's like I don't know what to do. And like, do I get into FF7? Like, so I downloaded our Resident Evil 3. Like, oh, maybe I'll play this. So downloaded it this morning, like with
Okay.
breakfast. Like, okay, I'll play that because I already bought it.
Sure.
I just downloaded it. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do for the next little while. And then like FF16 DLC is like, okay, I got that. Now we're back. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, okay, I'll play that, then I'll do RE3, then I'll play RE4.
And RE3 is short. It's
Short. Yeah.
like like less than 8 hours or something. Like it's pretty. Maybe
Yeah.
first time through it'd take a little longer, but yeah, it's not very long.
So it's like, oh, okay, there's some stuff to keep me tied over. If I wish I had more time, because I would really like to play Remake again.
You're coming home for Christmas for like a week and a half, two in between, and I will say I would be careful of playing it too close to the next one, because like I said before, it's like you almost don't want to be good at the game when it comes out because you don't want
yeah.
it to be too easy. Although, so one thing that I think I texted you, I don't think we talked about it on the podcast yet. My like literally last remaining concern about Rebirth was
Yes.
open world games. I want to do, especially if it's FF7, I want to do all of the stuff, all the extra stuff, but I don't want to just like
Overpower.
face roll the bosses in the main story. And then they announced this like dynamic difficulty mode or whatever, where like it sounds like the enemies kind of level as you level or something to that effect. And I was like, okay, that was my last like minor worry. So I'm like, like I'm good. I think that is what solidified me just being like, okay, I don't want to read or watch any more stuff, because that was the only remaining thing I was worried about, and they literally just told me, yeah, it's fine, don't worry. I was like, okay, I won't.
And so yeah, concerns are no concerns now, and I don't want to read anything. I'm not going to watch any like prediction videos or anything.
I'm done with those, I think, now.
Like now it's just like, if Square Enix is going to spoon feed me a trailer, I will watch it.
Sure.
I'm not going to watch any gameplay or watch any or play any demos. I'm just kind of ready for it. And it was funny too. I'm sure you remember this. You sent me that picture, and I was back in New Brunswick at that point.
And that's right.
The service I had was like less than 1 bar, and I texted you just like, I fucking love this or something, but it didn't go through, and I had to like resend. Then you got like 5 just like, I fucking love this. And then you're like, I don't know if this is just like shitty New Brunswick internet or if you really agree with me on this.
I texted the picture and I said, this literally solves my worry about FF7 going more open world. And I got 4 texts immediately that said, I capital love that. Like, I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. And then I just was like, I'm not sure if this is the shitty signal at Mom's or if it's your genuine excitement to send it 4 times. But it's Final Fantasy 7, so either one could be true. Yeah, I laughed pretty hard at that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
I would say honestly,
I probably won't.
I think if you play RE3 and if you see RE4 on sale, that game, even though it didn't win anything last night, it's only because this year was fucking stacked for games. RE4 is a masterpiece. Like, holy shit, that game is good. And so if you have the opportunity to do like RE3 into RE4, and it's not that long, I feel like that game was like 14 or 15 hours first playthrough. That'd be a nice like January game to play before Tekken comes out.
Yeah, no, so I think that's my plan is I'm gonna do some FF16 DLC this weekend. Resident Evil to tide me over to Tekken, then play nonstop online Tekken with you. It's
so nice that game comes out in those last couple weeks before Rebirth, when the wait will be so painful. We have that to play, and then there's another game that's coming out that I'll be playing too in that window as well. So
it's like I'm gonna be so antsy. I'm just gonna need to beat the shit out of someone, so I might as well do it in Tekken. Sorry, one other quick thing. We're going through like my entire list in our like intro here, but it's all very segued into each other. I was planning, and I'm gonna have to rethink this, to just because when I was in New Brunswick, Garrett and I were playing some Tekken. I had a friend over, and I was like, you have to see FF16. Like, FF16 is an effing masterpiece. He's not a Final Fantasy guy by any stretch, but I was like, this game is just visually impressive. So Garrett, can you just like load up an icon fight and just like show off a ridiculous cinematic? And so Garrett kind of did that, and our cousin Mike was in the room, and he kind of needed to like earmuffs because he hasn't played it yet, and kind of just he hasn't purchased it yet, and kind of and so I was gonna bring it back at Christmas and be like, hey dude, like I have the physical copy.
Sure.
So like play this. And then that was my plan. And then DLC. So I was like, oh well, that
Oh, you'll finish that DLC because you're only coming home in like 2 weeks, right?
yeah. But
Yeah,
mind
yeah.
you, I'm not you, so I
No, no,
can't
no, no. You can beat it in one sitting. It's like
okay.
3 to 4 hours. It's not
Oh,
long.
okay.
Yeah.
Deal.
You'll for sure finish it before you come home for Christmas.
Okay. So then maybe if Mike's listening to this, then sorry, your Christmas surprise is ruined. But I was gonna kind of bring that back and be like, hey, look, just play it and send it back to me before when some DLC comes out, whatever. So
Sure, yeah.
hopefully he can get some hours in it before the Leviathan stuff comes out. But but anyway, yeah. So
Yeah,
I'll try to beat it before I come home.
yeah, I think you will. One or two sittings tops, you'll beat it. I did game over a lot on the boss,
Oh yeah,
so it was tough. But yeah, you'll do it before then.
cool.
I feel like I was going to say something else about that. No, I don't remember.
Um,
Yeah, just yeah, the Resident Evils into Tekken I think would be a good plan because RE4 goes on sale a lot now, so you can get it definitely
yeah,
less than full price.
I'm
Um,
I'm now super pumped about Tekken because we had
oh
such an awesome
yeah, we
Tekken
did.
session. It was fun because normally it's Garrett and I, we play online, but
Yeah.
and our cousin Mike, who is really fun Tekken, you
Well, we
know,
grew up playing Tekken, all of us on the couch, like
yeah,
since
exactly.
Tekken 3.
So but he has it on like PC or something, or
Yeah,
Xbox, or
he has it on PC, and
so
it's not cross-platform on 7. So
he can't. We'll play Tekken Tag 2 here and there with Mike, but for 7 he can't kind of play with us. So whenever we play 7, it's usually just Garrett and I. So
yeah,
a chance to get Mike into the mix because we're playing literally 3 humans in the same room.
yeah,
But my buddy Hoonge was with me too, so who has never played Tekken, and it just added. He's a wild card.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's one of those people that's like he doesn't have like habits or patterns with characters. And like I was saying when we were all playing, it's like those people are hard to play against when you're just used to playing against the same couple people and you know how they play their characters,
Yeah.
right? And it's like when you just get someone that's basically button mashing,
Yeah.
and it's like he took games off of some of us, and like they were never like just him getting stomped,
No.
um,
And at first I was like in my mind, like, okay, I'm gonna go easy on him a little bit.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
a little because
He's
you don't want to like make it not fun, but then it's like, oh, okay, I have to try though because like
yeah.
he's beating me now. Like,
It's like he's not gonna have any fun if he just loses 4-0, whatever,
yeah,
every time. But then it's like, oh wait, no, like I might lose this match here.
yeah, yeah,
He the funniest thing was he could um get out of throws.
yeah.
He was
Like,
a master at that.
yeah,
Yeah.
none of the three of us are that good at getting out of throws, and like
Mm.
anytime we tried to throw him, it just didn't work.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But so that just kind of like got me really jazzed up for Tekken.
Same. Yeah.
And it was really funny too. His only experience was with like a Street Fighter or
Yeah.
MK. And so Mike was just like, "Oh, get him to use
Akuma.
Akuma." And then it was just like, "Oh man, shit! Like Hoon just like kicking my ass here because it's all Street Fighter inputs and whatnot." So
Yeah.
anyway,
That
yeah,
was
that was really fun.
yeah, we played for like a good like 3 hours or something, just played Tekken.
Yeah,
And yeah, it genuinely got me so excited for 8. Like
yeah,
I think it was around that time I like just went and like pre-ordered it on the PlayStation Store. So I like
Yeah.
bought it digitally, so like okay, I'm just waiting for it now. And then it's payday today, so I bought another gift card, added that to the wallet, and then when I get my next one, I'll be able to pay off 7 Rebirth after that.
Oh, okay.
So then that'll be paid for. So,
Um,
but yeah, that was fun.
have you? There's a Tekken like animated show on Netflix.
There's
I
one.
don't know if
It's
you.
on Netflix.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
there was an anime for it, but I honestly never saw it pop up on Netflix before.
So I again in my like um trying to figure out my meaning of life problem
Yeah.
this week. I was like, I guess maybe I'll watch something on Netflix. I've been watching a lot of Always Sunny as a result.
Yeah.
But I was like scrolling through Netflix like because I finished
Attack on Titan.
Castlevania,
Oh,
sorry, Attack on Titan. Yeah,
yeah.
no, that I'm in a mild depression from finishing Attack on
Sure.
Titan. But Castlevania Nocturne or
Mhm.
whatever was pretty good. I enjoyed that. But like wrap that up and it's big cliffhanger. So it's just like, oh, do I start something new? Like, what if it's
Sure.
not as good as the thing? The classic
Yeah, yeah. That's a
stupid thing.
conundrum.
A conundrum, yeah. And then it's like Tekken. It's like, oh, even if it's bad, at least it's Tekken, and I'll like enjoy it nonetheless.
Yeah.
But like, hey, it's mildly entertaining. So
Okay.
yeah, definitely check it out. It's
I
it's
had
pretty
no
fun.
idea it was on Netflix, honestly. So yeah, I'll at least
Yeah.
add it so I have it easily visible.
It's kind of in the Tekken 3 timeline, like
Sure. That means nothing to me though, but that's
in,
fine.
in case you're concerned about the very intricate storyline of Tekken, meaning Ogre is like a part of it, kind of thing.
Sure.
So
Yeah, the only thing that tells me is what characters I might see.
that's all, and
No
that's all I
knowledge
mean
beyond
by
that.
it. Oh, so you don't know who's like the VP of the Mishima force, whatever military?
No, I do not. I can
uh,
confidently say.
but anyway, yeah. So it's pretty good actually. So
Cool.
yeah.
Um, I don't know if I had more to say about Tekken 8. Just some more trailers coming out. No more characters that they're showing. So all the characters that were kind of bundled in those last like one or two trailers that were just essentially confirming that they're in it, they're
Mm.
getting their own gameplay trailer now each.
Oh,
So like
okay.
when
Well,
Elisa's comes out, I'll want to watch that. Yoshimitsu, I'll want to watch that. That's probably of those the main ones I want to see. But yeah, they're all just getting their like individual trailers, just trickled, like once a week or something. So I'll keep watching those. But yeah,
have you said on the pod your like prediction for Tekken 8 of like a potential character?
like guest character.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Tifa,
Yeah. I
hundred
don't, I don't know.
percent.
I don't know if you
Yeah,
said that on the pod. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true. That might have been us just talking while we were playing Tekken.
Hmm.
But yeah, no doubt in my mind. So not only do I think it should be Tifa because she'd be like a perfect addition to that roster.
Yeah.
They obviously have a good relationship with Square Enix because they had Noctis and Tekken 7.
Hmm.
Um, Final Fantasy 7 marketing budget is ridiculous. So
Yeah.
like that would be a thing they would do a month after Tekken comes out to like celebrate the release of Rebirth. It's
Yeah.
just, here's the first guest character and it's Tifa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like a very genuine possibility that will happen.
Yeah. And so I kind of wanted to tee that up for you. Like you heard it here
Sure.
first.
Sure.
You
I'm
heard it
definitely
here.
not the only one that has like thought of this, and like other
Yeah.
content creators I've seen. Like I'm pretty sure Maximilian Dude said the same thing. Like it makes so much sense to put Tifa as a guest character. But I definitely had been thinking about it for for a while. Like yeah, she would be freaking amazing as a guest character. The other one I thought that would be kind of not unexpected but really cool would be like I thought like Ada from like Resident Evil, but then I'm like, oh,
Oh
she's
man.
kind of like Nina already.
Fair.
So I don't think that would happen, but That was just one I
No,
thought that would be interesting.
Tifa would be amazing. And I
So
again
good.
in this like for $5.99, like
Yeah, how
you
much
know,
joy I get out of that
it's
five
just like
dollars. Yeah.
move over, Paul. Like
Yeah.
Tifa's my new favorite Tekken character.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's like, oh, for you can get a new hat for Tifa for I don't take my money. I don't care.
But
What
every time they give Aerith a new outfit in Ever Crisis, I'm like, well, here go all my gems because I want that outfit. They just did like a Christmas one, and it was like, I don't have enough because I've been playing.
Yeah,
It's just like a little Christmas sweater, sort of
yeah,
like big pea coat or something. But I was just
yeah.
like, I don't have the gems because I've been slacking on that game, so now I'm paying
And
for it.
yeah, I know exactly. I refuse to pay any actual
Yeah,
money
I
into
know.
that
Yeah,
game. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. It's
Uh,
I'm saying free to play only.
I'll watch ads for 50 crystals,
Yeah.
or whatever, but I'm not dropping a cent into this thing.
No,
Yeah.
because that's a dangerous slope. Not because I don't think the content is good. It's just that it's a bad idea for me financially because that will become a very slippery slope if I do that.
Perfectly said. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And it's a principle for me in one way, and then like, ah, it's only $5. I'll spend that, and then
Yeah.
anyway, that can add up.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm actually kind of glad I didn't know. I didn't want this to be the me show talking about my game, so I'm glad you actually had some stuff to bring up today with what you've been playing. So
Mm,
yeah, well, I want to talk a little bit about. So I finished Mario RPG Remake, and I finished Persona 5 Tactica. So I'm going to talk about those a little bit, and then because it's the holidays and our like end of year episode will be pretty packed, I'm pretty sure, with like Goaty talk.
mm.
Um, I I thought this episode would be a better one to bring up. We did like holiday memories with like gaming memories that we had growing up and stuff. And another tradition that Matt and I had a lot when you would be coming home every year is like usually almost every year he would be watching a show that I would get into, or I'd be watching something that he would get into.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be just a good topic given, it's December now that we're at the time of recording. Um, the first week of December, and it's like holidays are coming up. So I thought that'd be a fun thing to reminisce about a little bit, just like the TV and movie side of that conversation that we had previously. So
Yeah.
I'll talk about these two games first, and then we'll take a super quick break, and then we'll just kind of share some stories for the those holiday memories around that stuff.
Awesome.
Because I definitely have a couple that I know for a fact I started watching because you were watching at one time when you were home, and those are shows that I have lots of memories with. So yeah, we'll talk about that after. So Mario RPG, first of all, one thing that is so cool that I noticed like I'm a little more than halfway through was when I was doing like cleanup stuff at the end of the game. So I have that Nintendo Switch controller. Sorry, Nintendo Switch SNES
Oh,
controller.
yeah.
And I was like, you know, the game is not long. I think I beat it in like 13 hours or something. Like I remember it not being a very long game. I just played it
Mm.
so many times that
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
head I thought it was this big long RPG, but I was like, no, I just played it like 80 times, like all the way through. Um, but so I was like, I went through it pretty quick, and then near the end, I was like, wait a second. It was like I have not. You can use the left analog stick to move, but it's sort of like the eight-way,
Mm.
like the eight directional movement. So it's like
Yeah.
it actually feels better to me to play it with a D-pad.
Yep.
Um, and so it's like, and you never use the right analog stick for anything, and
Hmm.
I don't even think you use like the R2 and L2 buttons on that. And I was because like the SNES have those, but they're kind of like the L and R here, and then like what would be the triggers are just kind of like in further, just like tiny buttons, like
Oh, really?
yeah, just so that if you need them for something like in like the menus and stuff, like they are there, but it's just
Oh,
like
okay,
they're
I see.
weird. They're awkward. Like they're definitely not buttons you want to like be using during your
Gameplay.
gameplay.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah.
there. I think it's actually those two to bring up like the rewind menu and save state menu and stuff.
Sure.
Just so it doesn't like screw up the mapping of the normal SNES controller buttons. So,
Yeah.
and you don't really use those for anything in the game. I was like, wait, will this work if I just like use the SNES controller? And I like hooked
Yeah.
it up, and yeah, you can play like that whole game with just the SNES controller
Uh,
for
that
like maximum nostalgia.
that actually like is a huge bonus, I think. Like,
Yeah, I did
yeah,
not
yeah,
expect that, and it's not like I don't think they advertised that at all, because it does not have a home button, which you need to like go to like the home menu. So it's
yeah.
like you
That's
do have to like turn on your other controller to do that, if you
yeah,
want
yeah,
to, but it's like that's just when you're like done playing or whatever. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's not a hindrance at all. So the next time, because I will absolutely go through the game again at some point because it's so short and it's genuinely so fun. Um, I'll do like the whole playthrough with that controller because it just felt so good messing around with that. Just for the
That's kind of a
nostalgia.
that's kind of a nice reminder. I get not tomorrow, Monday, but for Spotify playlist for the day, Mario RPG's playlist would be
Sure.
a cool blast from the past. Yeah, because I that all that music has such a nostalgic.
And it's
um
all redone, like all
yeah.
re-recorded and like rearranged, and it's very well done.
uh,
Yeah, they did a
what
really
a
good job
good
with it.
game.
It's so good, and
Yeah.
it's genuinely funny. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
a-
yeah.
and it's like there definitely is like moments when I was reading like the text and remembering what I thought that meant when I was a kid, and like,
Yeah.
oh, I understand this like way better now, and like it just makes more sense as like a joke or whatever. Um, I wish I could think of an example, but there are definitely like, things I remember reading. Like I remember having no sweet clue what that word meant or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like it's probably like almost word for word exactly like the same from the
Oh,
original. Like it's very much like the skeleton of the original game just upgraded. You get a couple of these like little mini cutscenes and stuff, and there's some new
yeah, yeah,
things in battle that they're kind of like team up attacks or whatever,
yeah.
that you get a little special cutscene or whatever, but the gameplay and everything is like pretty much exactly as I remembered it. um there was one thing that so in the old game, because we had like the Nintendo Player's Guide, so it had all the secrets and stuff, and there was like
Yeah.
a little side quest to get. It was called the Lazy Shell, and it was like Mario's best weapon, and you got a Lazy Shell armor, which was like it almost maxed out like your physical and
Physical
magical
defense.
defense. Like it was insanely uh
Overpowered.
overpowered, like in terms of how much of an upgrade it was, but it like lowered your attack like
Mm,
significantly. So I remember like you'd put that on Peach because
yeah.
she had a group heal, an individual heal, and a res.
Yeah.
And if you put that on her, she doesn't do much damage, but she literally can't die.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was just like, you just couldn't lose with her on your team. And when I was a kid, I was always just like, yeah, give me all the cool secrets and like I want the most powerful things and whatever. And so when I did this run of the remake, I was like, I'll use the weapon because it's like it's a good weapon, but it's like you get it near the end of the game, so you only skip like maybe two weapons,
Yeah.
and so it's like it's not like one hit kills everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just it's just a good weapon. I don't think that was game breaking. But I was like, I'm doing like a no lazy shell armor run.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm glad I did because like the game is like kind of easy. It
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely is not difficult, and some of the systems in it that they added make you more powerful, but the difficulty wasn't really adjusted to compensate for that. So it just ends up being a little easier than the original, even.
Yeah.
Um, However, like there definitely are still some boss fights that were a little tricky, especially without that armor. But yeah, that was my goal, to do like a
And
non-lazy shell armor run.
armor run. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so I did that. There's like I think I talked about this before on the podcast, where there's like a challenge for his like super jump, where you have to like
Yeah.
get so many jumps, and I think it's at 30 you get a reward, and at 100 you get an award. And I was never able to even do the 30,
Me
like
neither.
not
Yeah.
even close.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are factors with like the kind of TV we had, because I didn't understand input delays back then
Yeah.
or whatever. Um, I actually got the 30 on this
Oh,
playthrough.
wow.
I was like, I understand how to do it enough to be able to get the 30, like the 30 multi jump.
Yeah.
And so I did that to get that item, and I was like, oh, this has been like 20 years I have been able to do
Yeah.
this. So that was satisfying. And then I was trying so hard to get the 100, and I would like I try it every day, just to like, do it for a bit, and then like, I'm starting to lose it now, so I'll come back later. And I watched like a lot, like 3 or 4 different videos of like what visual cues people use and stuff. I got to like 89 and I dropped it. And I was
Oh,
just
no.
like, ugh. I think I got to like 89. I got to like 70, 80 a couple times. I was just like, oh man, I tried it for like a good 2 weeks every day. Just like try it for like half an hour or something. And it's just like, I just couldn't. I might still try to go back and do it, but man, that's hard. And it's like, you cannot blink when that's happening. And I
No.
just like, it's like those magic eye like posters, where you're just kind of like,
Yeah.
just like hoping you're looking at the right thing. Like, anyway, so I got the 30 jump. I felt very good about that. And it even like records your highest. There's like a little, kind of like in 7 remake, where you get that little like play, like that battle log or whatever. It's got a bunch of
Yep.
different like things like that, and it shows you what your highest jump count was, and it's like 89 or something.
No, but that
Um,
was like, for we were both relatively kind of like completionist with games growing up,
mm,
but I do remember that being like, well,
just
it's
can't
impossible, so we're like, we'll never do
just can't do it.
it.
Yeah, the first time I ever saw it, because I kind of like forgot about it. Like, I could have obviously just looked it up on YouTube later on, but
Mhm.
it just wasn't front of mind. And I saw it at like a GDQ, and because
Yeah.
he had to do that to like beat this like really tough boss at like a low level or something. And he had to do
Hmm.
it multiple times. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh, it's possible. It doesn't. It's not an urban legend. Like, it is
Yeah.
possible to do. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
that's
could never
exactly
do
it. I
it.
thought it was just an urban legend that it was even possible. So it was
Yeah,
like, oh, we've beaten Mario RPG 100%. It's like we haven't done that ridiculous 30 and 100 jump thing, but that's just an urban legend. No one can ever
yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I got the 31. Felt good about that. Um,
Did you I'm assuming like Jinx and Culex are
yes.
part of it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the Jinx fight was definitely tough without the lazy shell, because that was one that the lazy shell fucking carried you.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I
yeah.
think it even prevents instant death, which is one of the things he does.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, the Culex one I'll talk about in a sec, because that one was really cool. But yeah, the Jinx fight was there. Um, really, one thing that was really neat, and I think I read this later to make sure I wasn't just badging things. When you're doing the combat, because it's got the timed hits or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're doing the combat, though, I think it's like a little exclamation point or something above your head, or there's a little icon that pops on your head to sort of like teach you the timing of like, this is when you need to press A to do the
Mm.
timed attack. And it's like, as you start doing it like not missing it for a while, or like just getting it fairly consistently, the
Yeah.
icon will just stop showing. It's like, yeah, you know how to
Oh.
do this now.
Yeah.
And it's like, I kind of like that. Like, it's not intrusive, and it still makes you feel like you're earning it when it stops giving you the sort of cheat
Yeah.
visual cue. So that was really neat. Um, the you can change characters mid battle, which
Oh,
is
wow.
cool, because like my party would only ever be Mario, Peach, Bowser. Like that's just the
Yeah,
dream
the
team, and I would
classics.
never
Yeah,
change that.
yeah.
But mid battle, if there's just like, oh, like Mallow would be good to just AoE this group of 6 enemies or whatever, and you
Oh
can
wow.
just pop him in and use him, kind of like FF10 style. Like you could
Yeah,
literally doesn't cost you anything, and you can use them right away when you switch them in.
yeah.
So that was really cool. It actually made me use more than just the 3 characters I normally would. Um, yeah, change them mid battle. Okay, so uh, yeah, so QLEX. So, and I had to look this up because I forgot. I thought this was new, unique to the remake, but I'm pretty sure it isn't. So when you first run in, you do the little quest to open the door. You get like the shiny stone or
Right.
whatever, which is a crystal essentially. I remember
Yeah.
finding that out way later when I understood Final Fantasy more. Um, and for anyone that doesn't know, I guess Culex is like a Final Fantasy inspired boss. He's not an actual enemy from a specific Final Fantasy, but he's this very like different looking enemy, like very obviously FF4, FF6 type of looking enemy, and he has 4 crystals that
Yeah.
fight with him, and they're all 4 elements or whatever. So like it is basically a Final Fantasy boss.
Well,
Um,
and it plays the FF7, FF2 boss music.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. It plays the boss music, and I couldn't remember if it was 4 or 6
Or
when I
sorry,
was trying
four.
to
Yeah,
when I was trying to remember. But yeah, it's the 4. Yeah, it was 2 for us at the time, obviously.
yeah.
Um, and so you go in there, and he says some speech about like I don't remember exactly what it says, but it's like, oh, what are the like? This land is so mysterious. Uh, I'm of this flat plane of existence or something like that. He's like 2D, and I thought that
Yeah,
was new to the remake, but I was like, oh no, the Mario RPG was that like pseudo 3D
yeah.
modeling, right? Like it was like the Donkey Kong Country style 3D
Yep.
rendering. So I was like, oh,
And
okay, that joke they would have made that joke before because Mario was in 3D for the first time or whatever.
yeah, and yeah, kind of, yeah, 3D environment. And but Culex's non-battle sprite is just a 2D thing floating down to you, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Or sorry, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And his battle sprite is also just a flat, as if it's
True.
a Final Fantasy game. He's just a
Yeah,
sprite, like a 2D
yeah,
sprite or whatever.
yeah.
And so
That's
he gives
funny.
a little speech, and I laughed initially, but someone told me, no, he says that in the original because you are in 3D in Mario RPG in the
Yeah.
original game. I was like, oh fuck, that's right. And uh, but I still laughed. And now it played the original. And what's neat, and this is because we're such Final Fantasy nerds, is the the version of the FF4 boss scene that they played in the OG Mario RPG
Hmm.
is a unique version of that song. It's not just
Ah,
ripped from Final Fantasy IV. It's like a new version of like it's like unique to Mario RPG. Like
okay,
the recording of it or whatever is like its own rendition of the FF4 boss theme. It's not just ripped from the game. And
okay,
then when you get to him and he's talking about being stuck in 2D or whatever, it plays that version of the boss fight from the original Mario RPG, like the SNES sounding version of the unique version of the FF4 boss theme.
gotcha, gotcha.
And so you fight him with that music, and then it plays the like a unique version of the not the prelude, the fanfare
Fanfare. Yeah.
when you beat him, and he says something like, "I will go train to learn about this third dimension of power," something, something. It's very like this like villainous like monologue or whatever about just trying to become 3D.
Yeah.
And it was really really funny. So once you beat the game, they added stuff to do
Hmm.
post game. So there's a bunch of rematch fights with several of the bosses in the game, like Balome, the Punchinello, I think is the bomb guy. What was the other one we did? I think it's I think it was the bow
The guy
guy.
from the woods.
I feel like he was one of them because I'm pretty sure he locked 2 buttons at once instead of just
Hmm.
one. I think he was one now. I'm trying to. It's hard to remember, but there were a number of boss fights, and they were kind of like puzzle fights. They weren't just raw damage and defense.
Mm.
The Balome one was kind of, it's just like he would clone you. Like, he would like, eat one of your party members and like make a clone of them, and they were
Yeah.
just like way harder,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
super difficult fights to do. Um, and then like the bomb guy, he took almost no damage from you, but he would throw out bombs, and if you damaged them, they would turn direction in like one turn. So he would throw them out, and you got to try and hit the ones that are facing you, and they'll face him, and they'll attack him.
Oh, okay.
And so it's
That's
just
fun.
like kind of
Puzzle.
silly puzzle sort of fights,
Hmm.
for the most part. And then you get, I forget what item you get when you do all of those, but it basically unlocks the QLEX door again. And you go
Oh.
in there, and he's fully 3D, new
Oh,
model.
wow.
And he's like, oh, I've been trading, blah, blah, I found this third dimension of power. I understand where your strength comes from, or some shit. And then, so you fight him, and it is a brand new arrangement of the Final Fantasy IV boss theme. Again,
Oh,
like
wow.
unique to this game, and it's a really good one.
Oh,
Like
man.
it sounds like fully. I don't know if it is actually orchestrated, but it sounds very orchestrated. Um, and that fight is fucking hard. Like
Oh, wow.
the easy difficulty of the game, it's like it's such a punch in the face when you get to QLEX 3D fight, because it
So,
is difficult. It took me
did you
many tries.
did you equip the lazy shell armor
Nope.
at that point? No.
No,
Okay.
I was like, no, I'm not gonna get all the way here and then just take the easy route.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't use it, and I don't even think it matters, because so one of the moves he does like a kind of like a Bahamut style countdown.
Okay.
And I don't remember what the move is called. I think it's called Meteor that he does. But it basically does your max HP -1 of damage.
Oh,
So
wow.
you have to be fully healed to
Yeah, yeah,
survive
yeah.
it, and you only have one hit point. So like the lazy shell, because it's like fixed damage, like the lazy shell wouldn't even save you.
Wouldn't even help. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
And when you kill one of his crystals, depending on which one you kill, gives a buff to the remaining him and whatever
Oh.
crystals are left. So I think one of them makes him one of them makes him do more damage, one of them makes him like take less damage, makes his attack stronger, or like magic stronger, or whatever. Like there's, I forget what the four buffs are, but
Yeah, classics. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And in that like battle log at the end, it shows you like minimum turns to beat QLEX 3D, to see like how many rounds you can do it in.
Minimum turns.
And mine was
Wow.
like 32 or something. It was like probably like a 40-minute fight. Like it was hard.
Oh, wow.
And it took like a lot of tries. Like I went and just like, it's pretty easy to get to max level in that game, because by the time you get to the end, you're like 25, 26,
Hmm.
around there, like maybe mid 20s or less. And the max level's 30.
Hmm.
So I just went and, grinded the last couple levels. It didn't take very long. And, so because I knew I couldn't do that fight unless I was max level. And yeah, it was hard. But it felt so good. And then you get a new arrangement of the
Arrangement.
fanfare when you
Yeah.
beat
Oh,
him.
man. I'll definitely look that up. That sounds
It's
awesome. So,
super
yeah.
cool. Yeah, it was very, very cool. What a nice payoff. And then you get like a bestiary, and like you get little lore behind any enemy you fight. And
Yeah.
the little entry for that one is just like, you beat the hardest boss in this game. Thanks for playing, or something, like from the development team. So
Oh,
I
that's
think
cool.
that was definitely like the main challenge of the game. And there was one thing I forgot. I don't know if you remember this, but like when you're going through like Bowser's Keep at the end, there's
Hmm.
like this part where there's like 6 rooms or 6 doors, and you can only do 3 in one run.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and there's like 2 battle rooms, which are just like 5 or 6 battles or something like that you have to do. There's like
Yeah.
2 quiz rooms, and 2 platforming rooms, and
Yeah.
2 puzzle rooms. um And so I went a second time to do the other three because you get like people's ultimate weapons, except for the lazy shell. Doing that.
Yep.
Um, and there's one that's like this. It's one of those like memory game kind of things where it's like there's like I don't remember 24 buttons, and like if you press a button, it will press buttons around it, and you have to just go until they're all down.
Oh
And it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
and I was like pure muscle memory. I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, puzzle done. I was
yeah.
like, I just remembered the solution for that one. There's one where you got to kick the ball over, and it like
Oh yeah,
that
yeah,
one I had to
yeah,
look up again. I could not remember how to do it. Um, but yeah, it was like the buttons. I was just like bing, 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 bing. I think I tweeted that out. I saved a video of it. So like,
yeah.
yeah, muscle
Mu-
memory just fully kicked in on this, and I just remembered how to do this apparently.
20 years later or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Wow.
So that was a funny moment. But yeah, that QLEX fight was the highlight. That was so cool. And when you beat these extra boss fights at the end, minus QLEX, you get like a new ultimate weapon for all your characters essentially by doing
Oh,
these.
cool.
Um, and then you get some item from QLEX, but I think it's just like a trophy to say you beat them basically. It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
actually
yeah.
do anything. So, oh, the ending where you do what like it's like that little parade that's going by.
Yep.
At first, it's like it looked sprites, like it looked like the OG ending. And like halfway through, like this big firework went up, and it just like it's like sparkled over the whole thing, and it was like all updated graphics for the rest of the ending or whatever.
Turns into kind of super,
Mhm.
rendered 3D mode kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
it was
yeah, yeah.
really cool.
Oh man.
But
Oh,
anyway,
that
yeah,
sounds so much fun. I gotta that's something I want to tackle at some point. That'd be really fun.
yeah, and it's not long either. You definitely go through that in like a couple days. But yeah, man, what a nostalgia overload. The music is incredible. All the rearrangements, especially like the forest maze or whatever it's called in that game.
Yeah. That was
Incredible.
good even just on the SNES.
Yeah, yeah. And so hearing the new rendition of it was so freaking good. Um, so yeah, that's what I got on Mario RPG. I'll go quickly through the Persona 5 stuff and then we'll take a break. Because I know we kind of talked a little longer at the beginning than we were probably planning.
No
Um,
worries.
so yeah, Persona 5 Tactica. So one thing I was sort of not expecting because I played the another one of the Persona 5 spin-offs earlier this year, Persona 5 Strikers, and that was kind of like,
Yep.
the Dynasty Warriors style game where like
Yep.
one versus 1,000, it's like that type of it's that version, but like a Persona game. It's like that type of spin-off. And that game had it was all like rearranged, almost all, I'd say like 80% of original Persona 5 soundtrack songs, but like remixed to be like higher tempo and like slightly different because it's like a faster paced game or whatever. But there's a lot of tracks from the original. Oh, excuse me, a lot of tracks from the original game just remixed. And so
Mm.
I was kind of expecting a version of that going into this. That would just be more different remixes of P5 tracks, and it's like 90% new music
Oh
from this
wow,
game,
that's
but
awesome.
still very clearly still like I'm pretty sure it's the same composer because it definitely has that Persona 5 sort of jazzy style to it.
Yep.
And the vocalist in the some of the songs that have lyrics like the boss themes and stuff, it's the same vocalist that does them in the other, other Persona 5 stuff, and she's fantastic. And so it was yeah, it's like I knew the music would be good. I just assumed it was gonna be rearrangements of songs I already know.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, no, it's like almost
New.
all new
New
music
content.
and
Yeah,
very
yeah.
good, like the quality you'd expect. Um, and it's really funny because so Spotify Wrapped came out and you
Yeah.
texted me. It was like, wasn't it like one episode? was it like one or two FF7 tracks and like three FF16 tracks was like your top 5 songs.
Yep, as expected. I easily could have predicted that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, because going like January, February last at the beginning of this year was right after I finished my like 200-hour playthrough obsession of Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah.
And so like mine was like I think 3 songs from Persona 5 and one song from was it a song? I forget my actual song list, but I'm pretty sure. Oh no, it was my artist that was funny. It was like the Persona 5 soundtrack, like artist, Husky by the Geek, who does a lot of Final Fantasy 14 covers, like really, really good. Hold on, I'm actually gonna just find it because I remember it just made me laugh. If I can find it quickly.
While you look it up, it kind of shocked me because I feel like I listened to the Mega Man X 1 through 6 playlist, 1 through 8 playlist every day nonstop for like
Sure.
8 months. Like
Yeah.
that was my work playlist, because it would essentially the entire playlist would get me through a day's worth of work, and it was just like, here we go, start of the day, Mega Man X1,
Yeah.
and because I was going through the
The
compilation
Legacy Collection or whatever it's called. Yeah.
oh man, and to this day I'll still toss that on. So that um the fact that they were not on there, and things like Find the Flame or whatever from FF16 and
Yeah.
whatnot, it's like, yeah, okay, I guess I kind of went a
It went
little crazy
crazy.
there
Yeah.
at one point.
So yeah, so my top 5 artists was one artist called Lo-Fi Leah, which does they do like it's all video game covers, but it's in like that sort of like it's just in like
Low,
a lo-fi style, and I use
yeah.
that at work a lot, like because it's non-lyrical and it's just super chill music. So I listen to that a ton at work. Obviously, it's my number one artist. Husky by the Geek is number 2, and like I said, he does a lot of Final Fantasy covers, especially Final Fantasy 14, and he's incredible. If anyone likes rock covers of Final Fantasy music, go check him out. Number 3 was Purple Shala, and I sent her a picture of that, and she was laughing.
That's funny.
Number 4 is a band called I don't know if it's Coven or Coven. I actually don't know how to pronounce it, but it's the band. Uh, I'm using a like no copyright version of one of her songs as our intro to this podcast.
Oh,
It's
nice,
actually
nice.
one of her songs, and it's like on a no copyright site or whatever. That's just free to use for whatever reason. And because I listen to her music a ton.
Hmm.
And then Atlas is there as the playlist artist, which is like what the Persona 5 soundtracks are under. And then my top 5 songs, that's what I was thinking is uh number 1 is a song called So Happy World, that's from Persona 5 Royal. 2 is the battle theme from Persona 5 Royal. Three is some random song that's just a song I listen to a lot, not gaming related. 4 is Blooming Villain from which is the boss theme, but it's the one from Persona 5 Strikers. And 5 is a song called Negotiation, which I think I talked about this boss fight in Hi-Fi Rush. I think I talked about it on the podcast where it's like kind of a duel and it's all
Yep.
just like back and forth or whatever, and the music just swells at each phase. That is like my number 5 song of the year because I listen to that. I have definitely listened to that many, many, many times throughout the year. But it's like all but 2 of things on that entire list of 10 songs or artists are video game adjacent.
Oh man, 100%. And just because at work I need that, because if it's lyrical, like
Yeah,
I get distracted, and so
exactly.
no. And it's funny now that I think about it. Of course, I'm looking at all my songs, and they're all FF16 ones.
Yeah,
And it's because the playlist is like 5 songs long because the full OST isn't out yet.
right.
So it's just like
It's on repeat.
I get through 20 minutes and like, okay, I guess doing this again,
Yeah.
again. Whereas I go through the full Mega Man X
Right. So not
playlist
one
in a day,
individual song gets
not
as
one
much.
individual song. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But super quick sidebar. You were kind of playing a couple of those weren't you? Or some of the Mega Man Legacy
Oh,
Collection?
not this year, but I've gone through. I think I went through on the X ones. I went through X1 through 4. I don't know
Okay,
if I
yeah.
actually beat 5 on that collection yet or not. I was kind of just holding it for when I had some downtime, but I
Well,
just
yeah,
did not have
which you have
downtime.
not had.
Not this
Um,
year.
but I've been re-listening again to that playlist a bit, and like X7 has its issues, like
Mm,
but X8, oh man, X8 is really good at music and gameplay. So
yeah. I
yeah, that's a
definitely I want to. I still have them installed. I never uninstalled those games. They're just sitting right on my desktop.
yeah.
So I will get to them. I should have time. I'm not going to say that.
No, don't make promises you can't keep.
Yeah. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but no,
Um,
anyways, just I've been
but yeah,
listening to X8 a lot lately, music. So
sure.
yeah.
So yeah, all that to say. So what I was getting at was, it's funny looking at my Spotify Wrapped from last year is dominated by Persona 5. It will probably be dominated by Persona 5 Tactics music next year. Because I've been listening to, like, I think I saved, like, because there's some music that's just like, oh, it's just like when they're talking and it's just like, I don't need to listen to that song outside of the context of the game. But I
Yeah,
think I
yeah,
saved like a good like 15 or 16 songs that are just like super fucking good.
yeah, yeah.
And I've been listening to those a lot at work lately. So I feel like I'm just gonna repeat this cycle next year with a bunch of Persona 5 Tactics music because it is genuinely so freaking good.
And
Um,
no shame in that.
no,
I remember we talked about this for like I with like friends, it's never like they're like, oh, let's share our Wrapped playlist, and I'm just like, you guys don't want my
you
playlist.
don't want to listen to mine.
I like, well, like a party is like, oh, okay, everyone, like get your Wrapped playlist on, and like for the party, like play your number one. And like my
Like
friend
find the
Cappy,
flame. What the
yeah,
fuck?
the Cappy will be like, oh man, okay, yeah, this is some song by the weekend, and like, oh, here's this the Taylor Swift one, whatever. And then I remember my friend Cappy being like, the fuck is grandma? And I was like, oh, it's from this game,
From
like
near.
it's from near, yeah, like it's like this is your number one song. It's like, look, it's a fucking
It's
banger, but
very
just like
good.
yeah, like
Yeah.
don't judge. But anyway.
Yeah. No, I definitely I definitely feel that. Um and I feel like when I was going to Smash weekly tournaments, I definitely had a couple of those that I would listen to when I was playing Smash, right? So
Mm,
those definitely got bumped up. And I did show Tara from Tara C Music. She was like, of my top 100 songs, because they make you a playlist as well, like
mm.
the Spotify thing. She had like, even though she wasn't one of my top artists, she had like 13 or 14 songs on my like top 100.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I had a bunch of her stuff on there too. So yeah,
I listen
that was
to
fun.
that Chrono Cross album of hers
Yeah,
every second day kind of thing.
yeah,
That's a mainstay in my day to day for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I've listened to that many times. I think it's right,
Oh yeah, yeah, on the
right
bottom there. Yeah,
there. Yeah,
yeah,
I
exactly.
hung that up. So anyway, yeah. So that was a lot of fun. Like when just like, all right, what percentage of this is going to be video game music? Like 95%.
Hundo P essentially.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
not even close.
So it'll be that again with Persona 5 Tactics probably, because a lot of those songs are not going away from my rotation anytime soon. Um. Okay, so yeah, so this is like a grid based like tactics game, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that was really cool is they used like the Persona 5 kind of like systems in a really interesting way, like translated to a tactics game. So example, they do things like in a Persona 5, because it's a turn-based RPG, it's like if you hit them with like a weakness, it gives you what's called like a one more, which is just like
Mm,
you can act again, or like something called baton pass, which is like give your turn to someone else, and depending on your relationship with that person and like how strong your bonds are with them, when you baton pass to them, they'll get a buff and for
Mm,
that move they're gonna do or whatever. And so they work that into like they don't really do like elemental weaknesses that to that extent, but it's like if you have any kind of cover, because there's like half cover and full cover, um, any attack you take will be like half damage. It's like resistance. Um, but if you hit someone with like a persona attack, which is basically like your magic attacks,
mm.
it sort of kind of like knocks doesn't knock them away from cover, but it makes them sort of like disoriented so that they're not getting full resistance anymore.
Yep.
So if you hit them with like a persona attack, then you shoot them or melee them, it that counts as a weak hit, a weak point,
Mm.
or a crit, and then you get a one more, and then you can
Oh, wow.
move and attack again. And so just like the way they kind of translate, because like we all anyone that plays Persona 5 knows what one more is as a system, and just to like translate that into a tactics game. Um, where positioning is so important, it's
Hmm.
interesting making that relevant to having good position and having something to hide behind or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's like an all-out attack in P5 where if you get like a critical or a weak hit on all the enemies on the field, then you do like what's called all-out attack, which is where everyone just does like a super team-up move, and it like basically kills. It's like does a lot of damage, and usually if it's just regular enemies, it kills all of them. Um, so in this one, I never I think it's you only need one person to be in a one more state. I don't think you need to have a second person. I'm pretty sure I've done it with just one. But it depending on like I think it maybe is like how if you can see each other or you're on a certain like depth from your other teammates, you like create a triangle, and anyone caught in the triangle will you do your all out attack, and it will hit anyone like in that the
Oh,
triangle that
okay.
you're creating. So
So
it's
kind
about
of
getting
how positioning. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like getting one more with this person, then one more with that person, so you can like make the triangle as big as possible and catch as many people in it as possible or whatever for like your big finishing move. And so it's like I said, just finding ways to like use systems we already kind of know what they do, but how does that work in a grid based
Yep.
tactics game with limited movement and stuff, right? So I like when
Things.
games do that.
Well, I feel like we had a pretty in-depth conversation about this where it's like I know this system, but the rules are different. And
Yeah,
you're yeah, you're kind
yeah.
of
So
like
like
giving me
how do these rules fit in the context of this different style game,
yeah,
being a tactics game versus like a turn-based RPG or whatever.
yeah.
Um so that was really cool. I really liked how they handled that. Um oh, at least in my experience with Persona 5 specifically, because that's the only Persona game I've played all the way through. Um they have like and it's like a JRPG thing too, but I feel like Persona 5 just does it. They've like mastered this. Like the 3/4 of the way through crazy plot twist.
Okay.
And it's like, that's kind of can be a meme for some JRPGs where it's like, okay, I guess this is happening now, sure.
Yeah.
But I do really feel like Persona 5 does those in such a cool way that it's such a well crafted story that when that part hits and it's like it happens in this game as well. Like they do that again, where they
Yeah.
just give you some crazy plot twist 3/4 of the way through the game. But it's like everything that happened story wise up till now makes so much more sense now that you know this thing is the way it is or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just feel like they do that. They're like masters of the craft for doing that very specific thing so well, and that's probably what makes them so satisfying even when the regular game is like 100 plus hours. It's
Yeah.
like what makes that length not feel as drawn out, because you get these huge revelations near the end of the game that just like change your whole perspective of what has happened up to that point.
That's
um
such a I'd say like not even just JRPG, but like that's just such a Japanese storytelling, like
sure.
anime, like all sorts of that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
always like Attack on Titans was similar. It's like you get to a certain point, like, Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Now I get that. Like nothing's made sense for 75% of the time, and it's like
sure.
now I get what's going on.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
um,
feel like they don't do it in like an annoying way, like a
no, no, no.
it, like especially like Persona 5, like it's very earned, and it's not just like I feel like there's not a lot of hand holding with it. Like it's like you still have to like understand, and so maybe this kind of ties into my other point is like one really cool thing about Persona 5, and I assume other Persona games do this kind of thing too, but I just will speak to 5 because it's the one I know. Um, it like really tackles like mental health issues as like
mm,
a narrative and like gameplay system. Like
mm,
without getting like too spoilery, it's like one of the things that happens in this game is like a lot of why things are happening the way they're happening. Because like I think I've talked a little bit about Persona 5 earlier in the year, but it's like you're going like kind of like into people's subconsciouses for lack of a better, that's the short version of what it is. It's not really
mm.
that, but that's the easiest way to like the elevator explanation of what it is.
Yeah.
Like the elevator pitch version. You're essentially going into people's subconscious to like inception them a little bit or
Hmm.
like change their minds like fully, like not that you're like they don't understand that you did that, they just feel this way now or whatever. um and it's like most of the plot or like the reason things are happening as they're happening in this game for that first like 3 quarters of the way through is because of someone's like mental trauma that they went through as like a teenager, and
Mm.
like they never dealt with it. And it's like it's hard to get into without spoiling too much stuff, but it's like it literally is the reason that all of this is happening is because they didn't process their trauma properly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that happens a lot in like Persona 5 like proper. A lot of like the storylines are around that type of thing, and it's like it, i don't I don't know a lot of games that like really shine a light on like the like mental health as like a narrative element to this effect. Like it's,
Hmm.
and that is partially I think why I do love FS7 so much, because a lot of it is Cloud's PTSD that he just never
Yeah,
dealt with, right? And that's
yeah.
just so compelling because it's like that is a very good example of a thing that happens way into the game. You're like, oh, like
It's
now I see.
That's literally the example I've been like sitting on to like
Yeah,
offer as like, and even FF7
yeah,
up until that you're like, oh wait, like because I promised 10-second sidebar, but it's I remember watching that game, playing that game. And then when you revisit the Nibelheim flashback, it's like, who's this black haired dope? Like, what the hell is going on here?
yeah,
Like, where's Cloud? Cloud's the best. And it's like, oh wait, no, whoa, like, oh, okay, now this all makes sense.
yeah.
Like the big plot twist at the 75% mark, kind of thing. Yeah,
And that in 7 it's like it's also a very earned
yeah,
thing. Like it really doesn't like, okay, so basically did this, he did this, it's like no, you have to kind of piece a little bit of that together and understand like, oh, Cloud's just super fucked up and he just assumed he was Zack. And like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it doesn't like tell you that in so many words. Like it shows you so that you can figure that part of it out yourself, right?
yeah, yeah.
And that's what I mean when I say it's earned. And like this game, Persona 5 does that very well too, where it's like it doesn't just spell it out for you immediately. Like eventually it gets a little more like, okay, you should probably understand this by now a little
Yeah,
bit. But like in
yeah.
the moment of that, interaction or that revelation, um, it just it it has to be so hard to craft a narrative that way to to
Oh,
to do it this well, right? Like that could so easily just like flop where 90% of the players get to them like, wait, what? Like this was not obvious at all, or like this makes like, well, that's not like this is a continuity nightmare because you said this before or what, like I just feel like that's got to be so painful to craft it that well to have that payoff be as the revelation that it is, right?
Yep. And for the two of us who have absorbed enough Japanese content, whether it be movies, games, or TV shows, and culture and people and things like that, it's really not surprising that it's like, oh, it takes an insane amount of work to craft that whole narrative and pull it off. Yep, no, that tracks. That it's just that is a classic Japanese anime, Japanese movie, JRPG trope, is just being the master of the plot twist that almost gives it replay value, to kind of, oh, now that I know what I know, I want to look at it through a different lens. Like that's just their formula kind of thing.
And so this game does that to great effect. And linking it to like mental health sort of related was just like, I don't know, that's what I loved about Persona 5. It did especially so in Persona 5 Royal, they added like new content to the game, to the base game. And like that entire side story is like very heavy on like the mental health unresolved issue thing. And it's so cool the way they do it. Oh god, that game was so good. I do not have time to replay that game. Shut up.
Yeah.
I don't want to get excited about Persona 5 right now. But yeah.
Before we break here, just kind of a random mini anecdote on the topic, which is kind of funny. I've I brought up Attack on Titan before, but I just finished it because it just wrapped up. But there's a moment, no spoilers, but people who've seen it will know what I'm talking about. There's a moment that's kind of like any top 10 plot twists in anime or whatever, like this is very frequently number one. But like there's one moment in the series where it's just like this huge revelation. And I remember watching that, but like I was really tired and kind of like falling asleep during this like huge revelation, and then like waking up and just like, what is happening? Like what? And then rewinding and then being like, oh man, I fell asleep during like the most ridiculous reveal of this entire series. Like, and now I see all these things like, and of course, number one, the blankety blank reveal. I was like,
just
don't remind me. I'm so embarrassed, like, that I fell asleep during this. But anyway, whatever.
At least you knew, like, you went back and watched it, so you didn't just skip that and was confused
for the rest.
I'm like, man, this story seems so disconnected. I'm like,
why is this going on? Like, don't you remember like when the world changed?
So is one thing I do remember, because I did watch some Attack on Titan like way back when it first came on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's like there's people like in the Titans, right?
Yeah.
Is that what that part was, or is there
no?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the only like big like twist thing I remember.
So that
like,
I was
sort of controlling them or being used by them or something. But yeah.
So that
no, wait, they're in that. Sorry, I cut you off. They're in that thing on the back of their neck, the weak spot or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, the statute of limitations is over on this, so no spoilers. But like you find out like, oh, Aaron's dead. Oh wait, no, he's that Titan that's going completely berserk.
Right.
So that I was awake for. And like lost
that's
my
the only
shit over.
plot twist I knew of that. So I was like, oh, it'd be funny if that was the one. But I do remember that one. I think that's around where I got to when I was watching it.
Yeah. But anyway, no, it's like again kind of like 75% through, there's like the huge reveal. This was kind of like, let's call it 50% of the way through, but it's like so cinematic. And I just remember waking up like, whoa, what's going on? Why, what's going on? But anyway, just on the topic of reveals and the plot twist. So
cool.
Okay,
so yeah, that's all I got for Persona 5 Tactics. Those were my key takeaways. And that was my last, I'm pretty sure it was my last game of, at least new game of 2023. So I'll have the full list when we do our Goaty episode. Because I think I rattled them off quickly at the end of like last episode or something. But there was a couple I forgot because I just had
Yeah,
them on a
yeah.
different page. Like I think I didn't include the pixel remasters, but
Oh,
like I platinumed those. So even though I played them once already when they came out on Steam, it's like it was like 117 hours to play all of them in platinum. So like I'm including that. I'm putting
yeah,
that on the
exactly.
list.
It's funny you
Uh,
forgot those.
yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just I don't know why. I think I just didn't write them when I finished them, and
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
just
yeah.
forgot after that point. But um, anyway, so I'll have the full list when we do that on the next one. So we'll take a super short break. We went a little longer before our break than usual, but we'll take a break and then we'll talk about some of our holiday stories that we got.
Perfect. All right.
Okay.
See you in a sec.
Yep. Hey everybody, welcome back. So we're going to talk about holiday visits, like we mentioned at the beginning, because it, as much of a tradition as it was for us to like introduce each other to games, or more me giving Matt a list of games to play when he comes home. We definitely did a similar thing with like movies and TV. I think mostly TV shows.
Yeah.
When you'd come home, and so we have something to say about that. One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of this episode when we were talking about the Goaty stuff. Um, I didn't get to reveal to you that there's FF16 DLC and get your reaction.
Yeah, yeah.
However, on December like 12th or something, 12th or 13th, we are getting God of War Ragnarok DLC for free. By the
What?
way,
Oh man.
they showed that yesterday, and I was hoping you didn't see that one.
No, I
Uh,
definitely did not.
it's
Oh
called
man.
like Valhalla or something. And what it looks like is I'm trying to think of a game that you might have played that has a mode like this. Um do you know what I mean if I say like a roguelite?
No, sorry.
No. Okay. It's kind of a niche genre, and I don't think you've played many games that do this. It's it's kind of like you like do like a run and you go
Mm.
through like different combat encounters, and in a lot of the games that do this it's like, oh, when you beat this wave or get to this point in the dungeon, you can pick between these three, one of these three buffs that you have for the rest of your run or something.
Oh,
And you
okay.
pick
Yeah.
one and you go forward, and you just kind of try to go as far as you can.
Hmm.
And it sounds like it's a mode like that.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
not like
Cool.
a whole extra story chapter, but it's just like a combat trial sort of dungeon run type of thing.
Cool.
But it comes out literally in like I
A
forget the
week.
actual date. I feel like it was like maybe the 12th or 13th or something. And it's free.
That's awesome.
So just like an easy thing to just throw on and like, get a little God of War in, like a little fix when you want the, a taste of that combat again or whatever.
I
Um,
I think I literally like deleted it off the like this morning to make way for RE3 or whatever. But
sure.
I was like, I platinum this. I'm done
I
with
know.
this.
Yeah, I usually do that too. Yeah, that
Yeah,
actually
I mean,
reminds me. I gotta re-download it, just to have it waiting.
and that's the thing. I always re-download it
Yeah, yeah,
overnight or something. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But
and it's not like a new story, so it's not like you're gonna want to feel the or like you won't feel left out if you don't jump into it right away. There
yeah,
may be
yeah,
like a
yeah.
little story of like how he goes there, but it does sound like it's more just like combat and like gameplay centered. There might be like new boss fights. I don't know. I really don't know much about it, but other than that, it's
Oh man.
like a rogue like kind of thing. So and yeah, just dropped that trailer showed up at the Game Awards last night and said, yeah, free update, and it's in like 5 days. So like, okay,
Man,
jeez,
because the combat in that is so
I
effing good.
yeah,
So yeah, yeah.
and it's one of
Oh,
those games that like because it's such a narrative heavy game, it is a little bit of a slow start. Like if you were to like go and replay it,
yeah.
and so it's like, and that's kind of what I was using like those arcade mode runs on Final Fantasy
Mm.
16 for. Is like, oh, I just want to feel that combat again. Let me just do like a dungeon or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it kind of just helps you when you just want to get an itch for the combat without committing to the whole playthrough or whatever
Yeah.
of a new game file. So anyway, I forgot to mention at the top of the episode, and I just thought that was really cool. And given your recent experience with God of War, I thought that would be fun for you
Yeah,
to
I'll
learn.
keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. Okay, so holiday visits. So yeah, just to catch anyone up, because it was back in like last, it was probably March or something when we were talking about this before. But it's like, so after your um God, what is the first thing you do?
No, like
Undergrad.
my bachelor's degree.
Your
Yeah.
bachelor's degree, yeah.
Yeah.
God, I am
Yeah.
not the academic in the family.
No.
So after you finish your bachelor's, because when Matt went to university for his bachelor's, he was like in a little university town, like 30 minutes, away from where we live. So it wasn't like a challenge to like see each other over the holidays or whatever, because you were just like, a stone's throw away. But then once you moved to Alberta to continue your schooling, then it's like at that point we only saw each other basically at Christmas every
Christmas.
year.
Yeah.
And what would happen is, because you were so busy doing like pursuing, higher education and all that stuff with all the work you had to do. And at that point I was just, working full time. So I would work till, my 8 hours, and then I would go home and play games with the money I'm making from working or whatever. Um, and so because I would just have more time to play games than Matt, by the time he comes home for Christmas, because you'd be home for like, it'd be like between exams, right? So you'd be home like
Yeah.
late
2 weeks or
December
something.
until like
Yeah.
early January or whatever. And
Yeah.
I would just be like, okay, here's your homework. And it's like,
Yeah.
these are the games this year. And that's why like this podcast was such an easy idea for us to want, like, to be able to like kind of commit to, is because like we just did this all the time anyway. It just happened in 2 weeks between December and January where
Yeah.
we just
Yeah.
talked about all the games we played all year. And so it would be like, yeah, these are the games that I played this year that I think you should either, I think they're the types of games that you'll like, or you just have to play it because it was in like a revolutionary game that, just has to be experienced or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so like that would be the sort of trend every year when Matt would come home, and I would just give him this list of games, like, okay, and it's like I'd be working crazy holiday hours, so when I was home I was exhausted, so I would just like, because we had the games that were just set up in my room, right? And so
Yeah.
Matt would just play them in my room. I'm just like laying on the bed, half passed out, just watching him play them for like 2 weeks straight around the holidays.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And so another facet of that was, um, you know, uh, usually I would be watching a show at the time that maybe Matt wasn't watching, and then vice versa. Matt would be watching something I hadn't seen, and like at one point while he's home, we would catch one of us watching one of these shows, and subsequently just like once in a while there'd be one that would really catch our eyes and we would kind of really get into, and that kind of turned into another sort of like holiday sort of tradition that we had.
Yeah. And
And
part of it as well was kind of me being in like a different part of the country with a different kind of group of people. And this was kind of before, I don't want to say the internet was still young, but social media at least was nothing.
And it was pre-Netflix. Like,
Yeah.
it was like before Netflix was a thing here. At least like the streaming version. I think the rental version maybe existed, but
and so as a result, it would be like, oh, are you watching this? Are you watching that? And just like meeting a lot of people outside of our sphere of people that we grew up with. So I was kind of exposed to a lot of stuff like that was new, and then I'd kind of come home like, oh man, like I know this has never been kind of our wheelhouse, but you should watch this. I've been obsessed with this or whatever. So yeah, I'd bring back a lot from that too.
Yeah. So we'll maybe just like ping pong back and forth with one that we remember being a result of one of those kind of shared experiences. One of the earliest ones I could remember, and probably number two in terms of significance of how much it took over my life and how much I obsessed over watching it. This would be the second most one. Was absolutely 24.
Yeah, I was about to say that I got that here. So
Yeah,
yeah. And so
and
I brought that one back.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I very distinctly remember. So some of our mom's family is on Prince Edward Island, and
Mm.
so we would usually make a trip there at some point over the holidays. And I just remember we were like, I don't remember whose house we were at.
There's grandma's in the basement.
Yeah, we were like we had to
Yeah,
like share a bed.
yeah,
And you just had it on your laptop. I think you were watching like season one of 24.
yeah.
I think it was the episode when like Terry like loses her memory or something.
It was season one though. Yeah,
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 and because it
yeah.
was just like a very strange episode to catch. We're like, why is this woman so stupid? It's
Yeah.
just like she just got thrown out of a car or something. Like, why is she? Anyway, it was just a really funny episode to see for the as my intro. Um, but I remember just watching that like on your laptop while we were in PEI because like we didn't have like our like any of our games to play on these trips, right?
No, no,
Um,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
so yeah, that was one that I think maybe I don't know if you like gave me the season one of that when you went back, if you were like done with it or no, I think you sent it to me for Christmas or something or for my birthday.
Ah, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
just like burned it or something and just sent it to me as like a birthday. And it might have even been more than just season one. That you might have sent me the first couple seasons or something.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
no, I think that's right because it'd be like you really liked it at Christmas, went home, your birthday's not long after. Yeah,
yeah,
that sounds right. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's exactly what it was. And because I think they were up to season six on TV at that point, because it was during like a mid-season break or something when I like obsessed and I got almost caught up. I think I got caught up by the time they started new episodes.
Man,
Um,
that show is so good. Like,
yeah,
holy crap. I love that show.
yeah. It's
Uh,
if anyone doesn't know the show, it's like every episode is the hour of a 24-hour day, and
mm,
so like each season is just a day essentially because it's 24 episodes, and it's all about like you know counter terrorist agency like dealing with some crazy terrorist attack or whatever.
nuclear threat of some sort.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like
yeah.
Jack Bauer, Kiefer Sutherland plays, and he's just like the most like give no fucks like attitude, like just by any means necessary kind of agent or whatever. And he's just like it's such a it's just like such a meme how many times he'll like be like, "Tell me where the bomb is. Shut up." It's
Yeah.
just like ask someone to tell something and immediately tell them to shut up. And it's just
Oh
like the
man.
the classic like tough guy and like his interrogations. Yeah, that show I like it just took over my life. And my friend Jordan was super into it because I think whatever seasons you gave me when I got to the end of those, he was like, "Let me like I got the rest. I got season 4 and 5 or whatever on
Yeah.
DVD. So like, just let me know when you get to that point." And he would like wait for me to get to big, crazy moments that happen to like just get
Yeah.
my reaction. Well, much like I would tell you about, I would also like tell him about.
Well,
Yeah, that
and
show took over my life for several months.
oh, it was so good. I could still hear the clock.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, and I
I
feel like
think
it
I had
was
that for like a alarm ringtone or something for a little bit. It was like this is too
yeah.
intense. It's like way too
Um,
stressful.
Yeah, exactly. There's like, I feel like it's season 3 or 4 where the first episode, like, anyway, people can turn off the
It,
podcast if they haven't watched it yet,
it's
but
like 20 years old. You're fine.
you're fine, yeah. But it's just like, okay, first episode, and David Palmer's now dead. Like, just like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, assassinated in the first like 20 minutes kind of thing.
Oh my
Like,
god, that
yeah.
one was. I think it was like season 5 or something because
Mm.
you were super. You loved him by that point. Like
Oh yeah.
you were.
He
He was like
he
the
was a staple of
yeah.
everything. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
God,
Anyway, oh, that show is
that
so
was
good.
devastating.
Yeah. But anyways, I was really because some buddies in Edmonton had got me on it, and I was like, oh man, like binging that, from a download it and off LimeWire and burn it,
Yeah,
or whatever.
back in those
Um,
days.
and then I remember watching. It's a quite a long day of travel to go from Edmonton to Moncton. It's essentially 2 3 hour flights, and
And some time in the
not to
airport, and
not to mention layover time.
yeah.
And but I remember just being like on the plane, earphones in, watch 24. Like, oh,
Yeah.
we're here. Okay, off the plane.
Yeah.
Just anyway, it helped me get there and go back. I made that travel day, and then so obviously watching it with you, and yeah, no, that has Christmas written all over it for
Yeah.
sure.
And
Yeah.
it was like they just mastered the cliffhanger. Like
Mm.
every episode, you're like, oh, okay, well, I have to watch at least one more to see what happens. And
Yeah.
then by the
Yeah.
time they resolve that thing you were watching from the last episode, they set up another cliffhanger so well that you're like, ah. Like one more though, like obviously. It's just
It,
like,
they had that formula dialed in for
yeah,
sure. So no, that totally has coming home for Christmas vibes all over it for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my bigger ones for sure. Yeah.
Um, the one that I remember, so I don't know if this is your number one, but kind of one for me. 24, for sure, but I never really watched The Office until you had shown a bunch
Yeah.
to me, and now like that's like my favorite show of all time.
Yeah. I think it was like whatever year that like the DVDs or no, they had been out. I think it was just when I got into the show, and then I went and bought the DVDs, and it was like
Okay,
up. I think it was around like season 3 is when I got those DVDs,
yeah,
and I bought like the first 3 seasons or whatever, and so I was like obsessively going through it around that time, like around the holidays or whatever.
yeah, and I remember being home, watching that like on your 13-inch TV,
Yeah, just in
whatever.
my
Uh,
bedroom. Yeah,
Yeah, and I feel like I vividly remember the episode where Dwight works at Staples
sure.
as part of that like first time watching a couple of episodes and being like, yeah, this is pretty hilarious.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I think I need to start watching this, and then the rest is history. But yeah, that was from a Christmas uh exposure
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and because I had stumbled on that show during the writer strike of like whatever year around that time. I think it was like
Hmm.
season 4 of the show. So whatever year that was, like wasn't that like 2007 or
Eight or
something?
something. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's when I had really gotten into the show. So I got caught up to like the episode of season 4 before the strike happened, and had to
Oh, okay.
wait like I was probably like halfway through when the strike was going on, so then I had to wait until it picked back up in the last half of the year or whatever. But I
Yeah.
was like all caught up, and then I was watching them like as they were coming out. So it was in that period that so it was probably like, if that was like say 2007, it was probably like Christmas '06 or whatever that I had bought the DVDs for
Right.
myself or something
That
like
yeah,
that.
that makes sense. Yeah, yeah,
Or yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. That timeline would make sense. I don't remember when the strike happened, but it was when I was obsessing over it, waiting for the new ones to come on, that I had picked up the DVDs.
Yeah, actually it would make more sense if it was like '08 or oh
Probably,
nine or something. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
But
that
yeah,
that definitely. I remember I was just binging those for sure.
uh but no, okay, so the two that I had written down were The Office and 24. I don't know. Was
Sure.
your what's your number one?
So I won't say my number one yet because I,
Oh,
I have
okay.
two. I have two others.
Oh, wow.
Um, I'm because I know you introduced me to this show. I'm pretty sure it was at Christmas. But Curb Your Enthusiasm, I believe, was a Christmas that I know you got me into it for sure, because I remember watching it with you one time, and like not I didn't even know it existed really, and like the concept of the show of like where Larry David like basically plays a cartoonish version of himself or whatever,
And
and I'm pretty sure it was a Christmas visit. that would have happened, because I don't know when else it would have been, honestly, outside of
Yeah,
a Christmas visit.
and like, because Dude's the one that got me into it, because I watched that nonstop over the summers that I was serving and bartending, and that was when I was still at Mount A. So that was when I was still doing my undergrad. So I at least watched it during that time, but I probably did not expose you to it until, because that went on well throughout my PhD. So
Yeah.
I'm sure I brought it home in season 4 or
It may
5.
have even been when you were at Mount A. It was just like during Christmas at that year too. It could have easily been that.
Yep.
I just know it was you that showed me that, because like I distinctly remember watching it after you went back. So I was just watching it by myself, and I
Yeah.
just like, it was like an episode where I feel like it was, he went into like a shop and he was like looking at a shirt and he tried to fold it and put it back, and the person was like, "Oh, you're not doing that right." And it was this whole argument. And I just remember watching it, and like mom was in the office. I was watching it in the living room, and mom
Yeah.
was in the office. She's like, "What the hell are you watching? This is so annoying." I was like, "What? Like, why are you watching this?" And I was like, "It's funny." And she's like, "It's so stupid." It was
um
just like, I don't know. I
when
just remember that, what doing that happening after you went back, and I was like, "Oh, I'm
Oh,
gonna
well, I
watch more of
couldn't have
this."
done
Yeah.
that.
It was like a 10-minute argument, like maybe not
Yeah.
10 minutes, but yeah, a classic Larry David, like back
Classic
and forth.
curve, yeah. When JB Smoove as Leon gets
Oh
introduced, like
my
then it's
god.
game over.
Yeah.
The formula of get Larry David talking to him in any sort of capacity, and like just the comedy writes itself.
And it's like
Um,
subverting the obvious joke of like Larry David being accidentally racist. Like, it's
yeah,
not that. It's
no,
just, it's like him trying to just understand, or like fit in with Leon. And
yeah,
like they actually like do get along for the most part, but it's like making him in like weird, I don't know even know how to put it, but it's not just the obvious like
trope.
accidental racist joke or whatever. It's like
No, it's
watching
like
him genuinely try to fit in with these and
want
just
to
being
be
so
more
weird.
like Leon. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's quite the opposite. He looks up to Leon and wants to be more like him, but is so terrible at it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but a sidebar is I listen to the Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend podcast all the time, and
Yep.
JB Smoove has been on it a couple of times, and like it's like, don't listen to it while you're driving, because like you're crying laughing. Holy crap, he's funny.
Yeah.
He used to be a writer on SNL and stuff like
I
that.
think I
So,
knew that. Yeah,
yeah.
I think I knew he was at least he was involved in SNL in some capacity.
And anyway, yeah. So yeah, showing you that at Christmas does track, and
Yeah.
it's funny too, because when I was working with Dude at the restaurant, like there's an episode in season 3 where he meets Crazy Eyes Killer.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the episode
I'm
that you showed me, the first
I'm
one.
sure it was, because I could recite that entire episode from
Yeah.
memory.
And
Because
I feel like, sorry, I cut you off.
no.
I feel like that was like the genesis of like him.
Yeah,
That had to have been the genesis of like, let's get him just with a black family,
yeah,
because it's like pure comedy watching him try to like befriend them and just like, fit in with them or whatever. Like,
100%. They were like, the best part of this entire season's arc was him interacting with Crazy Eyes. Like, we need more of this. But like, Dude and I would yell at each other at Mexi's all the time. Like, how you gonna throw the jacket at me, motherfucker? Like, how you gonna throw a jacket at me? I think about getting Scarface, the plasma screen. Scarface played 24/7. Anyway, we can just recite that nonstop. So, I forgot that Curb was
yeah.
a Christmas
Uh,
inception kind of thing.
the absolute best, like Larry David and oh my god, what the hell is his name? I just want to
Crazy
say
Eyes,
JB.
Leon.
Leon. I was gonna
Yeah,
say
yeah.
JB. I'm like, no. What's his name again? with Leon is like, and it's like one, I'll watch the scene and then I'll watch the bloopers of the scene. Is when he's trying to tell, I forget what, some guy said some like, offensive thing to Larry, and he's like, well, what'd you do about it or whatever? And he's like, oh, I kind of just slunk out. And he's like, no, next time you gotta get out there. You gotta get in his ass, Larry. You get in his ass. You leave some Doritos or whatever. Let him know you were there. And then like you open, you get out, and you leave it open so he knows you've been there or something.
And like, guaranteed, that's all. Like, this isn't written. This is all ad lib.
And then I'll watch the blooper of that specific scene, and like Larry just like cannot get through it at all. It's so funny. That's like one of my favorite interactions in that whole series. Yeah.
There are several seasons of that I have not seen. I should definitely
I definitely like fell off it at some point. But yeah, that was, and I am positive it was the Crazy Eyes episode that you introduced me, like that was the one you showed me to like gauge if I like, if you like this episode, you'll like this show kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was another one. You said that was it for you, right? It was 24 and Office. That was the only ones you thought of.
Yep. I have another kind of like do you just have your number one left? Okay, I'll tell the penultimate, and then you can do that. I don't know if you remember this, but like someone in Edmonton had told me about they're like, oh man, you haven't seen this movie. It's like, it's a little bit older. Definitely watch it over Christmas. And so like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'll kind of download it and bring it home to Moncton and Equilibrium.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that was one we watched together, but I remember like almost be like, man, how did I just buy that because it had Christian Bale in it? Like, why did I get that? But that would be why I watched it then, is because you brought it home.
It's funny. I'm feeling like you forget this part of it, which is good. Because like I brought it home and I remember being like, oh, okay, like Garrett, like I got this movie, like, I'm home, kind of, I usually bring home shows, but I got this movie, it's supposed to be really good. And you're like, oh, I've actually got like a work party tonight or something. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like, I'll watch it with mom or something like that, or like dad, and then Dad was like, oh no, actually, I'm going to Newfoundland tonight or something, so like, no, I can't do that. I was like, oh, okie doke. Clarence, oh, like, let's watch a movie together. Oh, I'm going over to Norman, so I kind of did a okay. Mom never does anything. Like, Mom, we're watching a movie tonight. Mother, son, she's like, oh no, I'm going to this scrapbooking thing. And it's like, I'm in town for like a week and everyone is just like ditching me. So like, fine, I'm watching this movie by myself. It's like I don't have my own DVD player. I'm just like in Garrett's room. I'm just gonna watch this movie and like 6-pack of beer, like, okay, just watch this movie alone, like with the cat. And then like everyone kind of like gets home at the same time and like, oh man, it's like, Matt, how was your evening? You all left me. I had to watch a movie by myself and you all left me.
I don't remember that.
I'm like, fuck all you guys. All you ditched me. You all ditched me. I just had to hang at home alone in the middle of the woods in this creepy house all by myself. And then I was probably like went back to Edmonton and I was like, here, watch this.
Sure. That's probably, that maybe has how I ended up. Or maybe you told me, because I do remember I had the actual DVD of that movie. So maybe you told me the name and I saw it cheap somewhere or something, but yeah,
probably something like that. Yeah,
it was probably some connective tissue there. Yeah,
and it's awesome. Like, it's an awesome movie. Yeah.
It was like a little low budget. Like, it definitely was not like I don't even know if it had a theatrical release.
No,
but
it was like, kind of like,
it felt a little lower budget, but it was still just like, it was still sick.
gun kata, the perfect kata or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And I remember watching it, I was like, God damn it, Garrett would love this. Like, why isn't he here?
And I think I got it because it was like after Batman Begins.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
definitely wanted to see it because Christian Bale was in it, and I was
yeah.
like currently like wanted to watch more stuff with him because Batman Begins was so good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's funny.
yeah, just like in your room alone, drinking, watching this movie in like our house, which is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Everyone else doing social things, and I'm just like, God damn it, I hate everyone. Screw you guys. Like stewing.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a kind of a funny memory I have.
um. So yeah, the number one. You might not even remember that you showed me this show. Uh, there was one year that you were home with. I think Ben is.
Yep.
I think you were home with Ben. I don't know if I don't remember why he would have
Oh,
come home with you at Christmas.
sorry. Go
Because
ahead.
where
Yeah,
is he from?
Bathurst. So
So
he
maybe
probably
yeah,
came up to Moncton. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, while you were home for Christmas or
yeah.
something. Anyway, Always Sunny. You showed me that show.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was
Oh,
I
wow.
remember it was like you and him were at the house, and it was the Charlie McDennis. It was like that episode. I think it was Frank's Pretty Woman and Charlie McDennis
Okay.
that you guys were watching, and I was just hanging out with you in the living room or whatever, and like I
Yeah.
I was like, I need to watch more of this fucking show.
That's so funny. I
Yeah.
totally forgot. And I guess that makes sense. Of course, Ben would have introduced that to me, and that overlap makes sense. It's also funny that like I'm currently getting caught up on that.
Yeah.
Like
Like
that's the show I'm watching right now. Yeah.
and that's why I say like that's definitely my number one because like I still obsess over that show. I can watch it as many times as with without ever getting old. I obsessively watch their podcast. They stopped for a while during the strike and they haven't started the show back up, like the podcast back up yet. And I've like gone through the entire thing probably 3 times now, like the entire
Oh
run of the
man.
podcast. It's so perfect to listen to at work, like when I'm not doing something that that's like when I'm not in the state where I can't listen to lyrical music, like when I
Yeah.
can do when I'm just like reviewing things or something that words and like talking doesn't distract me, it's like perfect to listen to at work.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and there's I very because I just remember how over the top Charlie puking the blood capsules up on that woman is like so insane. And it's like caught me so off guard. And then the whole Charlie McDennis is like, I feel like that is a perfect episode because it's like it's almost like a bottle episode. It kind of is in a way because it takes place entirely within the bar, but it's like it's a perfect showcase of each character for at least a certain amount of time. And it's
Yeah.
like this really like I understood all 5 characters after watching that episode. And it's like I
Yep.
feel like that was a good intro that if to like see if you like their dynamic as an ensemble or whatever. And then I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
went back season 1 and I just watched all the way through up to whatever season it was at that point.
Oh man.
I think it was during season 7 because I feel like you had just got those episodes because they just came out or something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they were or maybe
They were
you were
new.
just up to that episode at that
Mhm.
point, or if you were going through them, you had gotten
It's
up to that season or something.
it's kind of a funny full circle moment because or funny that those were the episodes because in kind of recent years with my buddy Hoonj, who was with us last week, his whole shtick in the last couple of years is he's always just like it's like, oh man, Hoonj, he's a wild card. It's like wild card,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, we actually said that while we were playing Tekken. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, oh man. And
yeah.
that's totally like his identity in our group. So
Yeah.
like wild card, baby.
Um, and so what's even funny about that is like I've watched that show so much, and even with the podcast, because a lot of the way they speak, and some of their mannerisms like is consistent when they're out in and out of character.
Yeah.
There's so much of their vocabulary that has just invaded my brain that I honestly often use a lot of these without even like I'm not like trying to quote the show. I just say a
Mm.
lot of these things now. Into something in like in the mix. I say
Yeah.
that a lot. Like, oh, I need to like I want to get this game in the mix or something. I want to get this in the mix or get that guy in the mix or something.
Yeah.
That's the thing they say a lot that I definitely say. I can never say the word implication anymore because I just fucking laugh so hard at that scene.
It's because of the implication.
Like, oh, so they are in danger. I don't see why you're not getting this. And then the woman's looking at him, and he's like, oh, don't look at me like that. You certainly wouldn't be in any danger. It's like a woman, and I was like, oh, so they are in danger. No one's in any danger. No one. How can I make that more clear? It's so funny. So I cannot use the word implication anymore. That word is ruined for me.
Yeah.
Referring to something as a something type of situation, they do a lot. And it's like, oh, this is I can't think of an example now, but I definitely use that phrase like, oh, this is a real, of course I can't think of anything, but a real podcast situation or whatever. Obviously that's not what, but I used a something situation a lot, like especially at work. I use that a lot.
Oh, it looks like we've got ourselves a real blank situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's this one is a little more labored, but I will definitely make the effort to use it. Referring to like smashing something or breaking something to bits. They say that a lot, like bashing bash that guy to bits or something like that. They say that a lot, and I use that one a lot too. What was the other one? Oh, I definitely will use about something being thrust upon me, especially at work. I'll use that sometimes. It's like, oh, Garrett's got to run this meeting. It's like, oh, this role has been thrust upon me. I guess I'll run the meeting. Or, as an example, I will definitely try to use that one a lot. And there's more. I couldn't think of anywhere. There was one today I was thinking of, but I didn't have my notebook with me at work, and I was going to write it down. I forget what it was now, but there's a lot of their sort of shorthand, like vocabulary or whatever that like I just use a lot of it. I just use naturally because I've just heard them say it so many times that it just subconsciously works its way into my.
I heard someone refer to, they were talking about like Simpsons quotes in the same capacity, and the phrase they used was like it's kind of become part of your currency.
Sure.
Just like, it's just kind of something that just is part of my day-to-day interaction, and or your lexicon, whatever.
Yeah.
But man,
I'm trying to think of more that they say, but
like this doesn't come up as it's mostly like talking to like Ben or like Bill or something like that, where it's just like, oh damn it, you bitch, like god damn it, like, you bitch.
Like the most... you bitch.
Yeah.
I'll think of more for another time, but those are the ones that I immediately wrote down because like I know I say these things. Especially I do feel like I use the situation one a lot, especially at work. I use that one a lot, and getting something in the mix. I love that one. I love the way they talk. It's so funny.
Wild card is another one there as well. But something else that like well, let's call this like an honorable mention or whatever. At least it's a Christmas show related story. I remember you got me into Community, not at Christmas. I vividly remember kind of like just chatting with you over Skype or over the phone or something like that, and you kind of mentioning, I think it was like I was coming up to, you had introduced me to Parks and Rec,
Yep.
And then I was like, yep, that was a home run. And he said, oh, this new show Community, you definitely like. And so started watching Community, and then that or The Office, like probably one of my favorite shows of all time. Like
Sure.
Community is way up there. I frequently rewatch that. But
Yeah,
anyway, like
I just went through a full rewatch of that not long ago, like a couple months ago. Just putting on while I'm going to bed and just kind of going through
oh,
every episode.
that show's
Um,
brilliant.
yeah,
I would love a like episode rewatch podcast of Community. That'd be really cool.
yeah.
Um,
I feel like I know Ken Jeong and Joel McHale did one, but I don't know if it was like about the show
mm,
that specifically. It might have just them. I think it was during like the pandemic and stuff, so it was just one of the
yeah,
things that a lot of people were picking up
and like
and doing. But
like a Dan Harmon one would be just like insider info or something.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
um, just so okay, there's the context, and then just throughout grad school, like constantly, Ben, who we talked to, who got us into Always Sunny, um,
yeah.
like his constant go-to, like we're all hungover or like something, he would always have like this ready to go on his phone or whatever it was, Kiss from a Rose by Seal.
Yeah.
Uh
Well, I feel like it might have been around the same because I vividly remember watching the episode of Community where
yeah, so
they,
that's where I'm going with this. It
yeah,
is like Ben would have that at the ready. Like we'd be out at a conference drinking and be like, you know what, we all got to start singing. And then like and everybody was like, what the fuck? Like this is like from the like a Batman Forever soundtrack. Like
sure.
it was just like this random thing that he always had on lock. And then that was my Christmas before moving to Japan.
Okay, yeah,
That Christmas. So he came to Moncton for kind of part of my farewell party and whatnot. And so
yeah.
like that night, it was me, you, and him. Like, oh, there's a new episode of Community tonight. We put it on,
And
and it was that episode. And Ben and I were just like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like how are you in Moncton, like on my send off to Japan, and it's this, like this has been the story of our past like 6 years. Anyway, at Christmas time, and we were like, I can't believe this is happening. And anyway, that was classic. To this day, we will just send each other a text that's just like, Jesus loves marijuana or whatever. Anyway,
because
that's so classic.
there was that episode of Sunny with Ben when they first meet, you first meet Ben the soldier, and she's like, her name was Desert Rose, and she's in the
Yeah,
play.
yeah.
And my memory is that though we watched that around the same time, but that just might be because they're both involving that song. I think in my memory it was like, oh, it was crazy that Community did that because we just watched the Sunny episode where they did it. But
Yeah.
the connection was like, oh, it's crazy that they did that because that's just a thing you guys do. And maybe that's where
Yeah.
my brain was. No, it was significant because like it's this thing that happened already, and my brain was like, oh, it must have been the Sunny episode then because. But no, I think it's because of what you just explained. That's probably why my brain thinks
Yeah,
that we
yeah, yeah.
watched those at the same time because
No,
that was definitely like the Charlie McDennis, like it was like
yeah,
that the Fat Max season that we watched during that,
yeah.
whatever that visit was. Yeah.
Oh man, but I remember that was just like surreal.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was a Christmas thing too. So but yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
And yeah, like Always Sunny is like still a show that I get excited for every year when they do new season. Like I just
Oh.
I think I genuinely think that is my favorite show of all time at this point. I really, it's like I still don't skip episodes. I still love every single episode as much as I
Yeah.
always have, and I just feel like it's like taken over my, like literally the way I talk to such a degree that it's like yeah, I definitely think it's like the most, yeah, my favorite show of all time at this point. I fucking love that show so much.
Yeah, it's so good.
Um, and anyway, and that's why I think the podcast has been like their podcast has just made me enjoy the show even more.
Yeah.
Because they do actually, it's, how do I put this? It's like, they're not their characters, obviously, because
Mhm.
they play, but it's like, it's, how do I put it? It's more for how chaotic the show feels when you're watching it. It is
Yeah.
very like tailored. Like they
Yeah, yeah,
talk
yeah.
about why they like wrote certain jokes in, and it's like the writing behind it is like smarter than you might think, not because you think they're dumb, but it's because the show is so chaotic it feels like it's so off the rails and so improvised all the time, but it's like it's actually like very tailored. A lot of their, now they obviously do go off script and have fun too, but
Yeah.
the way they explain how they made certain like choices and stuff in episodes or whatever, it's like it's so obvious how much like blood, sweat, and tears they put into the show, because all three of them are like the showrunners, right? So they're all in the
Yeah.
editing, they're all in the
Yeah.
writing, and so it's very obvious why the show is so good, because like how much they absolutely care about every single joke that they put in there or whatever, and yeah, it's been really fun.
And there's so much where it's like, yeah, on the surface, it just looks like they're talking about these homeless people fighting each other or whatever. But like, no, it's actually like a metaphor for like the election or something. Like
Sure.
they're very good at like, oh, okay, on the surface there's some ridiculousness going on, but like it's actually a commentary
Yeah.
on this. Like they're very clever and very good storytellers and writers for sure.
And it was funny. There was an episode I was listening to of their podcast the other day where one of them made a comment about like some fan said something to them that was like, "Oh, I'm surprised you're not more like, I think the comment was like, "Oh, you're not as dumb as I thought you'd be," or something like that. And just
Yeah,
because it was like to Rob, because like
yeah,
Mac is pretty dumb, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm not my character." Like they were like jokingly mad about it, not actually mad, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
people have to realize like we are putting on. And then like that entire episode, Rob and Glenn got into this fight about like diet and like physical care, like taking care of your body, and it was like right after making the comment, like, yeah, we're not our characters, proceeds to fight like Mac and Dennis for an hour, like argue about what you're putting into your body and like all this stuff.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
just really funny, and I think it was for the episode like Mac and Dennis break up. I think it was that podcast episode, and so
yeah,
it was
yeah.
just like mirrored the episode a little bit about how that was the one where he's like Dennis, like he needs Mac to peel his apple. It's like, I can't eat the toxins. I'm not allowed to eat them. I'm not allowed.
Oh
it's,
man,
it's
that's
so
such a good
funny.
show.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, that's a show I could watch any amount of times and still like it. Um. So yeah, that's those are the main highlights, at least for the holiday sort of video sharing, TV or movies or whatever. Um, and like we said, many shows that became very long lasting parts of our
Oh man.
of our repertoire. So yeah, a lot of good came out of that too. um so I guess, yeah, the next time I don't know if you had anything else, any other memories that you wanted that came up
No,
from
no,
the
that
podcast.
was kind of my end. So yeah, yeah. But yeah, for the next one,
So
I guess
yeah,
go ahead.
we'll likely. Well, so I was gonna say for the timeline of it, we'll likely record the week after Christmas,
Yep,
when Matt's home, and I'll, depending how much editing I need to do on that one, because there might be more that I have to do on that one for a couple reasons. I'll try to get it out by like the end of the year. It'd be fun to get that out like before New Year's Day, kind of thing. Since we started the podcast in January this
yeah,
year, so that'd be a cool way to cap it off. I guess I'll. So, what we're gonna be doing, I'll give a little preview of just like what we have planned. So because I played a lot more games this year than Matt had time for, um, I didn't want to put him on the spot because it's like it would be unfair for us to like compare lists just because I have a lot more time because my job is a job that ends at 4:30 and I'm not married, so I have a lot more time to myself to get through these games. And so it's like it wouldn't be as fun comparing lists because and a lot of the games Matt has played we've talked a lot about already on the podcast, and they're games that I've already played anyway, and so we've kind of discussed a lot of those things together already. But we're gonna go through my list of games, and Matt has been accumulating some random questions to ask me about my list of games of like best this or favorite that or whatever. I'm also accumulating questions from all the side quests guests that we've had this year. I think I have two more I got to try to chase down this weekend. Um, and I haven't been looking at the questions. I just as soon as I get them, I just forward them to Matt because the whole thing is going to be like it'll be a gut answer when we go through them. So I don't want to like look at them ahead of time and like really labor over my answers. We're just gonna kind of go gut answers, like 10-second rule kind of thing for all of them. We'll go through that. I'm going to do we're gonna do another round of game trailers without context.
Oh,
and
nice. Yeah.
and this time I'm going to have Matt will get the descriptions from my friend Sarah, and they'll all be the caveat or the theme of it will be games that I played this year. So there'll be of my list of games. We're gonna get her to try to describe some trailers, and then I'll have to try to guess what the hell she's talking about based off that list. So those are a couple things that we are gonna do for that end of the year episode, and then I'll decide on my actual like game of the year what I think stands out, and I mean for that we can both give our sort of picks because like you still will have a game of the year that that stuck out to you the most, so we'll kind of both talk about what those are. And yeah, that'll be a fun, and you'll be here, so Matt will actually record that one in person. I think I know how I'm gonna set it up for us, but we'll do a couple tests when you get here. Yeah, we're gonna do that one in person, so that'll be a fun way to cap off the year with that final episode. So
That'll be awesome.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything else. Got my final list of games, so we're good. And yeah, there'll just be we're going into the holidays, so it'll be like I said, end of December for our next episode. Just because things are gonna get crazy, and we want to make sure we have enough time after Christmas to record that. So, that's all I got for now. We will get Matt's maybe it's quick impressions on the DLC for the 16 DLC, and I will try my best to avoid everything online about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for the next 3 months.
Good luck. Yeah. But no, can't wait. I mean, we'll have tech in to distract us at some soon into the new year. So
exactly.
That'll be good. Cool. Awesome. That was awesome. That's a good kind of lead into kind of our Christmas kind of traditions, and it'll be fun to be home and then record a pod while I'm there. So I got a good. I'm really excited for the Q&A.
I have no idea what you're gonna ask, and that is really fun for me. Because I'm gonna have to think on the spot and go with my gut. Because I feel like I've done that to you a lot over the years, so I feel like it's only fair to let you unleash those questions on me and make me answer under pressure. So, and I'm really excited to see what our side quests guests have asked, because like I said, I just been forwarding the email questions to Matt, and I have not looked at them. So I'm really excited to see. Now I left it a little more open for them. Like I told them they could ask me about a specific game or something like that. Whereas I think your questions are going to be more generic of like it could apply to anything. So I got to look at my list of games and figure out so yeah, I'll try to chase down the other two that I need to get those capped off. And then yeah, we'll look forward to shooting that one at the end of the year.
Perfect. Can't wait.
Right on.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks, Matt, for the discussion as always. And don't forget, anyone watching, to subscribe if you definitely don't want to miss that Goaty episode. I think that was going to be a lot of fun. Nice year in review for the most insane gaming year we've had since, like, I think I looked and it was like 98 was like Ocarina of Time, Grand Theft Auto 3 or something. Like, there was, looking at like Half-Life, there's like the list of games that came out in like 97, 98 was like the comparable to this year in terms of just insane releases. So it's like been the craziest year we've had in a long time.
Pretty good year to start a podcast. So
yeah, yeah. I think I needed this because there's no way I could have gone through this year and not talked about all these games to someone on a regular basis. So yeah, it definitely was therapeutic for me more than anything. So right on. Yeah, so subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that last episode, and we'll see you guys hopefully before January. We'll try and get that out before the end of the year.
Perfect. Cool.
Okay, thanks everyone.
All right. Cheers everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.